Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk coming at you on a Victory Monday. The Kansas City Chiefs are 2-0, sitting pretty atop the AFC West, tied with the Chargers. They eke out a victory over the Bengals, but do they leave with more questions than answers, particularly given the injury to Isiah Pacheco that marred the end of yesterday's 26-25 victory? We will talk about that and so much more over the next 3 hours of this edition of 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. We are online at 580WIBW.com, and we are in video. You can watch our mouths make these words as we make them on YouTube. Our channel is 580 Sports Talk. On Facebook, you can find us at WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuis will be rocking with you for 3 hours. We'll hand things off at 6 o'clock to the Royals Baseball Network. The final homestand of the season for the Royals begins tonight with 3 critical games against the Detroit Tigers. The Royals' magic number is Bobby Witt Jr., and that is with the Tigers and the Mariners because the Royals presently hold the tiebreaker over the Mariners as well, with only 3 more division games left to play.
Sounds like how most of the season has gone. It's just the magic is Bobby Witt Jr. usually. Now it's
Typically,
the magic number as well.
The magic number for the Royals to clinch a playoff spot is 7. They could do it this week.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
They could do it this week. They could do it at home. 6 more home games left. The homestand starts tonight. Royals-Tigers, game 1, 6:40 first pitch, will give way at 6 o'clock to the Royals Baseball Network. In the intervening 3 hours, so much to get to from a jam-packed sports weekend, including the Chiefs beating the Bengals on a day where, charitably, it was something less than the Chiefs' best. It was something much less than Patrick Mahomes' best. But winning ugly is still winning, and great teams find a way, and that's what the Chiefs did yesterday at Arrowhead Stadium. We will talk all about it. We will also talk about the 2 big questions lingering from the end of yesterday's game. First, what are the Chiefs going to do without Isiah Pacheco? If you have missed the breaking news within the last hour, Pacheco will have surgery on a fractured fibula and miss at least 6 weeks. The approximation is 6 to 8 weeks, but it is at least 6 weeks that the Chiefs will be out without their starting running back. That's one problem. Left tackle appears now to be another problem, with Andy Reid unwilling today to commit to who will start at left tackle against the Atlanta Falcons this coming Sunday after benching rookie Kingsley Suamataia for the final drive of yesterday's win over Cincinnati. We will talk about those things because those are the short and long-term problems that the Chiefs are facing, even with a 2-0 record. We will talk about those things and everything else from week 2 in the National Football League with Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated, our NFL insider. He joins us at the bottom of this first hour, about 3:35. There is also college football this weekend. We'll discuss it. K-State makes a major statement on Friday night, paving Arizona in the only matchup between ranked teams in the country for the entire weekend. They had a TV window virtually to themselves, national TV, and they showed out in a 31-7 victory. We'll discuss that. We will also discuss Kansas, 1-2 after a stunning home loss to UNLV. Is the season on the brink for KU, or is it too early to push the panic button? I argue there's a little bit of the latter to be found, but there is one great big issue that we did not think KU was going to be contending with that they are kind of contending with through 3 games this season, and he wears number 6.
It was one of 2 ranked games this weekend because Missouri-Boston College was also a ranked
That's
matchup.
Right.
Unfortunately, that also contributed to my KU-related bad for the weekend that we'll get to in the good, the bad, and the ugly.
So we will talk K-State, KU coming up. The Royals, as we mentioned, have narrowed their magic number for a playoff berth to 7 after a business-like series win over the Padres over the weekend. Couple of things not great coming out of Sunday that we'll discuss, but largely a good weekend for the boys in blue, and we'll look ahead to the start of their series with the Tigers tonight. We've also got all of the things you've come to know and love from a Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk, a little good, bad, ugly. a new round of What Is Wrong With You, our sports headlines. There are lots of those to get to, and all kinds of football talk on this Monday on 580 Sports Talk. Again, you are invited and encouraged to join us via the Top City Metal Supply text line. 785-272-9429 is that number. You can also comment live if you're watching the show on Facebook. You can jump in the comments. Again, WIBW News. You can also hit us up in the YouTube live chat if you're watching along on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Interact with us and fellow listeners to the show. Get it? Got it? Good. Let's get rolling. Chiefs 26, Bengals 25. Another game between the Chiefs and the Bengals decided by a field goal or less. This one, a Harrison Butker 51-yarder. As time expired, made possible by a pass interference penalty called on Cincinnati on a 4th and 16 with a minute to play, less than a minute to play in the contest. It is here and now where I will talk about that and give it all of the energy it deserves. It was pass interference. If you don't think so, you are wrong and you do not know ball. Commence to crying. It was pass interference. We move on. The Chiefs win the game on a day where they didn't play well, and to say it was their C game might even be a little bit generous because they were sloppy. They turned the ball over 3 times. They committed penalties. The offensive line didn't play well, about which more later on. I think it's pretty clear, and I forget who it was that put the numbers out. Patrick Mahomes against Lou Anarumo is a mere mortal. Against everyone else, Mahomes he's Jordan. He's the best maybe we've ever seen. Lou Anarumo's defenses have a way of bringing Mahomes and the Chiefs offense back down to earth. And that happened again yesterday with a Bengals defense that walked their talk, played great against the pass. Trey Hendrickson sent Kingsley Suamataia to the shadow realm. That's 2 straight weeks that Hendrickson has gotten a left tackle benched. The guy for the Patriots that was trying to block him in week 1, quit football. They benched him in week 1, and then they put him on the NFI, the exempt list. He's not going to play again this year. That's how good Trey Hendrickson has been through 2 weeks. So it was an outstanding performance by the Bengals defense, and they forced the 3 turnovers. But for all of the things that we could complain about from that Chiefs performance, they won the football game. We have seen them enter what you and I have called on this show, Brendan, bozo mode many a time. It happened a lot last year, but we've always seen it early in the season. A game where the Chiefs just aren't on song. They make uncharacteristic mistakes. They struggle on 3rd down. They don't cash in and make silly play calling decisions in the red zone. And usually when we show up on Monday to talk about those things, we're talking about them in the context of a loss. That we are talking about them in the context of not just a win, but a win against a team that looks like it's going to be one of the AFC's best. That's the major positive. Winning ugly still counts as winning.
It does. And you are 100% right that you don't apologize for a win like this. You don't, mope and feel bad, a moral loss or whatever. You move on. You win. It is hard to win in the NFL, and you should take those wins when you can get them. That being said, I do feel like there are some legitimate reasons to feel not great about this team right now. And that's also the nice thing about winning this game is that you can say, well, shoot, we've got all these problems. We're going to have to figure them out. Left tackle, I think, is a massive concern. I don't like to react as aggressively after one game. It's too small of a sample size. We haven't played a lot this year. Suamataia was fine in week 1. He was so bad that I am in worry mode immediately with the left tackle spot. And just put in Wanye Morris is also not exactly the easiest fix because he played, 2 series and had what was almost a back-breaking penalty that nearly cost the Chiefs the game in the final drive of the contest.
But I thought we weren't supposed to call ticky-tack penalties at the end of games. And his hands to the face on 4th and 6 that wiped out a Chiefs conversion. I thought we weren't supposed to throw those flags. You're not supposed to decide the game, refs.
Yeah, it's funny.
Nonsense. I'm sorry.
No. I get it.
I'm arguing with straw men. I don't want to bring down the mood on a victory Monday. But yeah, it was not a convincing cameo for one game.
I mean, we had Bengals fans who we had to ban from our YouTube channel during our reaction show last night because they were coming in with nonsense. It's ridiculous, the reaction of it. But I'm concerned about that. I've got major worries about the running game. Honestly, I'm pretty encouraged about the running game. I'm now worried that your best runner is going to be out for upwards of 2 months, if not more. That's a concern for me. But you banked this. It's kind of like what we talked about with the Royals at the start of the year when they had all those games against the White Sox and the A's and some of the bummy teams across baseball. And it's, yeah, well, let's wait until we get to August and September when the Royals play real teams. No, these all count the same. Like this counts as equally as it would have if they had won by 15 points. And now they have a win over what team I think is going to be an AFC contender. And maybe that matters for tie-breaking purposes as well. This is important. And you take those wins, you adjust after that. The concern is I have some worries about where those adjustments are going to come from. I also have some, and I know Lou Anarumo is great. I know that. Do you know how many games I'm looking at expected points added? Do you know how many games last season Mahomes had that were worse in that metric than yesterday?
I'm going to say 0.
1.
Was it 1?
1. There were a couple that were close. One that was genuinely worse. Can you guess what it was?
I cannot.
My guess was the second worst. It was the Broncos loss.
Okay. Yeah.
Mahomes was worth.
Wait, the flu game. Yeah.
Yeah. -9 expected points added, which is really, really bad. But the whole team was really bad that day. Yesterday, Mahomes, -7 expected points added. You don't need to know all the ins and outs and the equations of that statistic to know if you are in the negatives, that's not good. The farther away from 0 you are, not good. And when you hear expected points and you hear, 7, that's a touchdown and an extra point, not good. No bueno. That is not a good place to be. That was the fewest yards, Dan, that Patrick Mahomes has ever thrown for in a full game. A game that he both started and finished. You don't count the game he got hurt against the Broncos in 2019. He only played a quarter in that game. That doesn't count. Of a game he started and finished, for all intents and purposes, the fewest yards he's ever thrown for, 151. Still almost twice as many as Bryce Young. I'm sorry, Bryce. That was not very nice. That was a total drive-by there. But the point stands. Not a good game for him. Passing offense around the NFL is down.
Way down.
Way down.
It's like we're watching a completely different game right now in the National Football League than we've come to expect. There were been something like 68 touchdown passes through 2 weeks, 66.
Which is 19 fewer than the first 2 weeks of last year. And last year was almost 20 down from the year prior.
Yeah.
Like it is cratering right now. So I'm willing to give some grace. I am. And it's Patrick Mahomes. Why wouldn't you be willing to give some grace with the passing game? However, he stunk yesterday. Like that was not the 2 interceptions he threw. Cam Taylor-Britt gets credit for making the interception of the year.
Yeah.
He gets credit for the play. The throw itself was a terrible decision.
Yeah, you can't underthrow Xavier Worthy. You got to let him go get it.
You got to let him go get it. Miss deep. Yeah. Miss those over the top. And the problem with Worthy, because he's slight, he can get bumped off his route, and it's hard for him to get behind guys sometimes. Bad decision. The first interception, holy cow. There are very few times he makes a read that bad. I mean, he just didn't even see Akeem Davis-Gaither. Yeah. And then the interception that got waved off was also a bad throw or a bad decision. Like it was maybe just a bad game. Maybe we should just ball it up, throw it out, you win, who cares?
Here's numbers on that I was able to dig up. It's Tej Seth, I believe is his name.
I believe it's TJ.
Is it TJ? T-E-J?
I believe it is TJ.
Okay. He's on Twitter at TEJ FB Analytics. He broke down the numbers. Every game for Patrick Mahomes against a defensive coordinator who is not Lou Anarumo, his EPA per play is 0.25. Just know that that's pretty good. EPA per play.
Yeah, that's a good number.
With a 53% success rate.
That's good.
Yes, pretty excellent. Against Lou Anarumo defenses, the success rate drops to 48%. The EPA per play drops to 0.09. So he is worth, it is
almost a third of the value of his other, against every other defensive coordinator in the NFL.
Yes.
He is
Lou Anarumo has his number, knows how to make the game difficult, knows how to show Mahomes things that he's not comfortable with. And look, he's the best to me, other than Steve Spagnuolo, the best in the business. And Anarumo doesn't have the rings. And I'd still take the guy on the Chiefs sideline before I take the guy on the Bengals sideline, but those are the guys, right?
No one else has an answer.
No, literally no one. We've just laid that out for you. So I am inclined to believe that this is an issue against the Bengals and probably not as big an issue against the other 30 teams. I understand if you are concerned. We've got both sides of the coin. The YouTube live chat, Vance says he has historically bad games against the Bengals, like the 21 AFC Championship game. Tyler in the YouTube comments says, I'm worried about Mahomes. Turnovers are bad. Not seeing reads or defenders is not good. And that's true. Like the interceptions he threw yesterday were not good, but that's a consequence of Tony Romo talked about after the first interception. Cincinnati rolled into a Tampa 2, which is almost not really an in vogue coverage. Like teams don't play a lot of Tampa 2 anymore.
Was Lovey in the building? Was Lovey Smith around for this one?
A tribute to Monty Kiffin? Like,
apparently.
I don't know, but yeah, that was obviously something that Mahomes did not expect. And he was seeing things across the field that I don't think he expected to see. And you give Cincinnati credit for executing that game plan and playing at a high level. But, man, yeah, it has to be better than that for him moving forward.
Yeah, and I want to say two things really quickly here. Number one, I did not give the Cincinnati defense enough credit on Friday's show. I said they were a bunch of nice, good players. They all played out of their minds. Cam Taylor-Britt looked great, even beyond the interception. Trey Hendrickson was obviously I think he was the best player in the game. Every guy who got on the field, I think Hendrickson was the best player in the game. I did not give them enough credit. They played a phenomenal game, and there's no reason to doubt Lou Anarumo at this point. That being said, the one thing that does concern me the most about where this passing offense is, and again, understanding passing is down around the NFL. Do you know what the average depth of target for Mahomes was yesterday? That is how far beyond the line of scrimmage does the average ball travel, okay?
It was bad. It was. I thought I was looking at a Bo Nix chart.
3.8. The average throw for Mahomes to his intended target was under 4 yards. He had something like, I got to go check the chart. Almost half of his passes were behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, they threw a lot of swing passes. There was a lot of like swing passes and screen game stuff. And look, that was effective. Like the Chiefs have guys to make that work. But yes, that was not the Chiefs passing offense that we thought we were going to see coming into the season. And some of that is a consequence probably of not having Hollywood Brown around. Like,
sure,
you went into this season building a passing game around that and not having that element. I think we saw yesterday that if we were discussing it as, hey, maybe this isn't such a big deal, maybe they'll be fine. Well, maybe it's a bigger deal than we thought.
We also don't have time to get to this right now, but I know we're going to get to it a little bit later in the week. There is a 6'4", 230-something pound hole in the offense too. Because
we are going to get to this later in the week. But
where is 87?
Travis Kelce, non-factor yesterday, had the one big catch, but it got called back on the fourth down. Mark asked a question in the YouTube live chat, where was Kelce yesterday? Yeah, we're going to do that later this week. It might be time to have a conversation about the greatest tight end to ever live.
I'm sorry, Dan. I undersold him. He's 6'5", 250, so it's an even bigger hole in the offense. Guy.
So yeah, some questions to answer. Where did the Chiefs go from left tackle? Again, Andy Reid would not name a starter for Sunday at left tackle in his media availability today.
Yeah.
I thought when they drafted a second round left tackle and made him the starter, they were going to have to be willing, as you are with any rookie at any position, to live with the ebbs and the flows. But that wasn't an ebb. That was a disaster. That was unplayably bad. And it has to get better moving forward. And I think it can, but I'm a little less sold on that than I was before I watched Trey Hendrickson eat his lunch for 60 minutes. And then the running game. Where does it go from here? Are you willing to let Carson Steele get a running back one workload for the next 6+ weeks? Doesn't sound like the Chiefs are. They're bringing Kareem Hunt in for a visit. You know how down bad that the Chiefs have to feel for Clark Hunt to sign off on bringing that guy back in the building at all?
The dude lied to his face?
Like, there's a reason the Chiefs are, let's say, historically lax when it comes to things like domestic violence and off the field issues. They have proven over the years they don't care about that stuff, right? Like, let's just say it. The Chiefs don't care about that stuff. They don't give a damn about domestic violence. They don't. I wish they did. They don't. Obviously, they don't. But they made an example out of one guy, and it was Kareem Hunt. And the fact that he's let back in the building at all tells you Andy Reid had to have gone to Clark Hunt. Brett Veach had to have gone to Clark Hunt and said, look, we got to have somebody because it can't be Carson Steele and Samaje Perine in the backfield for 8 weeks.
There is a statistic called series conversion rate, which is for every time you have a first down, what is the rate at which you end that drive or that series with another first down or a touchdown? When the Chiefs began a series yesterday with a run play, so first down running, their conversion rate, almost 86%. That is crazy. 86%. It was 12 out of the 14 sequences they began with a run. They got another first down or a touchdown on that drive. That's ridiculous. Passing wise, it was down just over 58%, which is way below average. You think, what? Over 50? No, that's still bad for passing. Passing, you should be way up higher. It's what the Chiefs have been great at for years with Mahomes because they throw so often. They're always ranking well in that category. Rushing wise, though, is where they made their bread yesterday. Not amazing efficiency for Pacheco, just over 4.5 yards a carry, but it was effective. It was effective without being especially efficient. And now I like Carson Steele, but
I don't know that
Carson Steele's not Isiah Pacheco.
I don't know that I want to give him 15 carries.
I don't want to give 15 to Samaje Perine at this stage of his career. Hell, post Oklahoma, I would never have wanted to give him 15 carries in a game.
Yeah, it's quite a bind the Chiefs find themselves in without Isiah Pacheco. That's two important pieces to what the Chiefs thought this offense was going to be, and they're going to have to reimagine it a little bit, at least for the time that Isiah Pacheco is on the shelf. Those are downer notes. I remind you again, the Chiefs did win the football game. They won it in dramatic fashion. They won it because Harrison Butker has never missed a kick that mattered in his entire career. And they're sitting at 2-0 when there are a lot of teams with Super Bowl aspirations who would love to be 2-0. I think the Ravens wouldn't want to change places with the Chiefs right now. Hell, the Bengals would love to trade places with the Chiefs right now. They're 0-2.
Yep.
The Chiefs being 2-0 is a big deal. But they've got some questions to answer moving forward. We're going to take a break. We'll talk to Matt Verderame about all this stuff, our NFL insider at the bottom of the hour. But first, the good, the bad, the ugly from the sports weekend. That's coming up next from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. We're just getting started here on 580 Sports Talk. A quick round of good, bad, ugly from the weekend that was. I'm going to start with you, Brandon. What was your good?
My good was Kyler Murray, my guy. I've been preaching the Kyler Murray gospel for years now. He is, in fact, good. They're off. Wow, amazing. They have a real wide receiver, and all of a sudden, he's throwing the ball all over the place. Marvin Harrison looked great. Kyler rules, man. Also, the Rams are... Yeah.
Spencer Dupuis, what was your good?
The Commanders folks have just found a kicker. They signed him on Monday, didn't even put him through a workout, and he went 7 for 7. My other good is that I found a new place to get wings. Jefferson's. I was texting you guys. There's both a Commanders bad and a Jefferson's bad when we get to it.
Okay. All of our favorite NFL teams won this weekend. That's kind of cool. So that's my good. The Seahawks are 2-0. Please don't ask me who they played. I don't want to talk about how it's the two worst teams in the AFC.
They all count the same.
That's right. They're in first place in the NFC West. What was your bad?
My bad's KU. Look, man, I love Jalen Daniels. I do. And I love his story and all the work he has put in. I know for a fact how hard he has worked to get back. But holy cow, like, I was willing to wave off 1 week and say, hey, everyone has a bad game. This is 2 in a row that were bad. And I'm hoping for the best for JD, but I am pretty worried going into Big 12 play.
You're bad.
The bad is that the Commanders can kick field goals, but their offense.
That's all they did.
Their offense is stalling out in the red zone because they can't. They just keep shooting themselves in the foot. False start, illegal procedure, holding, whatever you wanted to call it on the offensive line and receivers. That's what happened.
My bad is that Isiah Pacheco is hurt, and he's such a fun player, fun runner to watch that it's a real drag to not get to see him for the next 6+ weeks. Real quick, ugly, anyone?
Jamar Chase, what the hell are you doing, man? Also, three-peat for you. 1, Jamar, what the hell are you doing? How did they not eject Azeez Al-Shire last night in Sunday Night Football for punching a dude in the face? And a Colorado Mines player threw a punch in the Washburn game. What are you guys doing?
Stop fighting people. Stop punching people with helmets. Quick, ugly.
Yes, I had a terrible dining experience at said restaurant because this family next to me did not know how to take care of their kids, and they were running everywhere.
Oh, no.
They ran up to a waitress because there's an arcade below the dining place in this place. They ran up to a waitress who was taking orders from another table right next to us and said, "Can we get change for a $10? Can we get change for a $10? Can we get change for a $10?" It was bad.
That's that stinks. Yeah. My ugly, Bo Nix. Sorry, Broncos. Back to the drawing board.
He sucks.
He is a backup. He is a career backup, and you took him number 12 overall. Tough cookies. Matt Verderame next on 580 Sports Talk. Joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by our NFL insider, Matt Verderame. Covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. You can also catch him on Twitter at Matt Verderame. We can see all of the other neat stuff that Matt is up to with lots of great football content, including on his Patreon, the Matt Verderame Show. Matt, the Chiefs win yesterday, and they go to 2-0, but some big issues coming out of yesterday's game. We'll start with the Isiah Pacheco injury. Sounds like he'll be out at least 6 weeks. The hope is 6 to 8, and he can be back for the latter part of the regular season. What do the Chiefs do? What do you think their best course of action in the meantime is as far as their running game and their offense without number 10?
Of course, they're going to bring in Kareem Hunt for a visit on Tuesday, which I've got to be honest, surprises me.
Mm-hmm.
I just figured that they would not do that. He's probably the best available back, though. I mean, realistically speaking, I know last year he averaged 3 yards per carry. For his career, it's a 4.3. Like, he's worth 9 touchdowns last year. So, look, they bring him in. You know, they probably bring him along slowly. Even if they do, they'll probably put him on the practice squad first and elevate him at some point. But, you know, I think it's going to be Carson Steele, and it's going to be a little bit of Samaje Perine. You know, obviously we'll see more of him. If Pacheco is indeed out 6 to 8 weeks, this is the expectation right now. If you're the Chiefs, while that's unfortunate, it's not ideal. It could have been worse. He could have broken his ankle, and he could have been out for the season. So if you're the Chiefs, you'll live. You'll say, you know what, we'll be without him 1.5, 2 months. Fine. He'll be back for the latter half, the back half of the season, and you go from there. But I would expect that Carson Steele is going to be getting the workload on Sunday night in Atlanta, and probably going forward if he shows well.
The Chiefs were more than happy to run the football against the 2 high safety looks they were getting from the Bengals. They ran it, I believe, 32 times, pulling up the box score now.
Yep.
And Pacheco had 19 carries for 90 yards. That's not spectacular, but that's more than effective. As a team, they averaged what Pacheco averaged, 4.7 yards per rush. And they had a lot of success when they were able to run the ball early in drives and set themselves up in second and third down that were manageable. Do you think that teams will continue to play 2 high safeties without Pacheco and be less concerned about the Chiefs' ground game? How does this change the way teams might play the Chiefs moving forward?
I don't know that it's going to change strategy against them a lot. Like, teams are always going to just strategize around Mahomes. It's always going to be, Mahomes is on the field and has anyone alive who can catch a football, it's going to be too high. Like, we saw 1 high last year because the Chiefs were basically trotting out the 3 of us at receiver. Like, that's not the case this year. Worthy, while he's going to have his ups and downs, he's a rookie, his speed alone is going to keep teams in 2 high safeties. I mean, you can't play single high with that guy in the field. You know, we saw the Ravens do it, and the Chiefs immediately threw the ball down the field. Rashee Rice, which was interesting on Sunday. Look, he's been much more of a short, intermediate type of threat, possession receiver for them. They got a look that they felt like, hey, look, if this safety cheats in, we're throwing it. And Mahomes, who was not good yesterday, made a great throw to Rice for a 44-yard touchdown. I still think they've shown this year in both games, if you're going to play a single high safety, or if you're going to cheat a safety down, even in the cover 2 look, you're going to try to cheat a guy into that middle area, it's over your head. So I don't think Pacheco being out is going to change. I still think teams are going to say, hey, make him go 10, 12 plays. Make him take the underneath stuff. Make them be patient. I think you're going to see that far more often than not.
We're joined by Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated via the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Matt joins us every single Monday at this time as we talk all things NFL here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, I think Rashee Rice has been awesome. I think everyone agrees that Rashee Rice has been awesome so far this year. Meanwhile, things are not looking super great for tight end 1, Travis Kelce, the future Hall of Famer. No worries about that at all. Does it alarm you that right now through 2 weeks, Travis Kelce has fewer catches than players including Zamir White and Travis Etienne and Rico Dowdle, among others around the NFL?
It's not great. I'm really, though, I got to be honest, I'm really not that concerned. Like, if this goes on for 2 more weeks, then yeah, sure. I'm a big believer in water kind of finding its level. Like, there could be a stretch here where he has 3 100-yard games in 4 weeks, and then nobody's talking about this anymore. So, look, I will say it's alarming when you're getting in your mid-30s and he's got 4 catches for 39 yards over 2 I mean, that's like a half of football for him typically. So it's not good. But I will say also at the same point, the play got wiped out because the Chiefs took a holding penalty. But Mahomes hit Kelsey on a pass across the middle, and he ran for like 40 yards against Cincinnati. He looked like him. So they don't seem concerned. I'm not just what the eye test. He still seems like Travis Kelsey. I'm not really that worried about it. I think it's more of just, hey, look, Baltimore, and I watched the all 22 of that game. Baltimore doubled him almost every play. Cincinnati always doubles him on almost every play. I haven't seen the all 22, but I would suspect that's what they did in this game. A lot of brackets. At some point, somebody, and maybe it's Atlanta, is going to go, we can't let Rice just torch us. And they're going to try to double him, and then Kelsey's probably going to have 90 yards on 7 catches. So, yes, is it something to monitor? 1,000%. Am I overly concerned about it? Not yet. I want to see a few more weeks before I really kind of delve into it.
We're joined by Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated here on 580 Sports Talk. And Matt, how do you see this defense, specifically the secondary? I mean, obviously we knew the second cornerback role is still kind of up for grabs. It seems like it's whoever's the hot hand, but when you have an explosive tight end that you're facing, I mean, Gesicki just burned them for 7 catches, 91 yards. How do they have to put a safety on him, or do they just need to get better coverage from their backers?
I think that for the defense is the one big question. I feel pretty good about defense otherwise. Their coverage, I think, has been excellent. McDuffie put Chase in jail that entire game. Chase couldn't do anything against McDuffie. I thought Watson, he got beat on the one play to Burton. I think Watson the first 2 weeks looked really good. I think he's played very, very well. Najee Johnson has been fine when he's been in there. So I think overall, I'm pretty happy with the defense. That being said, yes, the tight ends have torched them. Listen, some of this, and especially against Baltimore, Nick Bolton just can't be in coverage. You just can't. I mean, it's any team that sees him, and that's where the ball's going. There's no reason not to throw it there. Now, this isn't just on Nick Bolton. I think Spags is probably going to play more 3 safety looks. I wonder if the answer to this is not eventually Jaden Hicks. Do you just put Jaden Hicks on these linebacker as a linebacker role, essentially, on third down defense, just so he's taking away your tight end? It's possible. Now, that doesn't solve everything. He's not going to play every down. You're not going to play 3 safeties every down. But I do want that kid's big enough. That kid's almost the size of a linebacker. Do they just put him down in the box in second and long and third down and just say, look, you're playing a lot of these, some man match, some straight man coverage. I think they're going to tinker with that. But yes, of all the things right now, I think defensively they've looked good. That is the one area of concern. They've got to figure that out a little bit.
Matt, let's pivot from the Chiefs and look around the NFL as we wrap up week 2. First question for me, what in the world has gotten into the New Orleans Saints, and is it real or is it maybe fool's gold through 2 weeks?
I think it's a combination. Look, Clint Kubiak, the new offensive coordinator there, he's got them playing a lot differently. There's a lot more play action. There's a lot more motion. I think teams are going to have to adjust. My question with the Saints is this. At some point, teams are going to adjust. Teams are going to, okay, they want to do this, and they have a tendency of doing that. That's the NFL. Can the Saints then adjust back? Or is it just like, hey, this is what we're doing, and if you figured it out, we're kind of screwed? I mean, that's the question. I don't care that they beat the crap out of Carolina. Everybody's going to beat the crap out of Carolina. I'm more interested in when teams counterpunch to the Saints, what do the Saints do back to it? I think that they are certainly improved because Kubiak's offense is much better and it fits their personnel. But on the flip side of that, in the end of this, it is Derek Carr and Dennis Allen. I have a hard time just after years of watching both men in their roles. All of a sudden now this team's just going to go 13-4 and be the 99 Rams. I have a hard time seeing that. So I think they're better. I think they will come back to earth. But if you're the Saints or you're a Saints fan, I mean, hell, you're pretty happy with early returns here. That's
from maybe the most surprising 2-0 team to the most surprising 0-2 team. What are the problems with the Baltimore Ravens right now that are the most concerning, and can they be fixed?
they can't block. They can't block anybody. I watched that game. Like, that was insane. I mean, it was an absolute sieve up front for 4 quarters. Crosby got both sacks at the Raiders. The Raiders could have had 7 sacks in that game. And we saw the same thing with Kansas City. Like, the Chiefs had 1 sack in that game. Chris Jones by himself could have had 4 or 5 sacks that night. I mean, they can't block. And what's happening is, they are always, obviously, as we all know, they love to run the ball. They're a run-first team. They like to set up their pass game with the run, getting advantageous down to distances. They can't. They can't run because they can't block. So now all of a sudden you're in these situations where Lamar's got to drop back on 3rd and 8. They're not built to play like that. They're simply when Mahomes is in 3rd and 8, you're like, all right, they're fine. You don't, when Josh Allen or Joe Burrow's in 3rd and 8, you feel like that. Like, the Ravens are not built to play that way. So you end up in the situation where the Ravens, they don't want to throw the ball 30 times. I forget the exact record last year, but even though the Ravens were, I think, 13-4 last season, when Lamar had to throw 30-plus times, they were well below 500. They were not good. Well, in the first 2 games of this season, he has had to throw more than 30 times in both games. If they go to Dallas on Sunday and they can't block Parsons, they're losing. Because if he's got to just drop back and throw 30-plus attempts against Dallas, they're going home 0-3. Like, their next 2 games are the Cowboys and the Bills. And those teams can get after it. Von Miller looks rejuvenated. Dallas, we know the pass rush. Like, I think the other stuff can get fixed, but none of it matters if Baltimore can't block.
Last couple of questions here for Matt Verderame of SI, the Matt Verderame Show, and That Football Show, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Matt, is Tampa Bay for real? And is Baker Mayfield for real? Because I love the dude. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. I know he's got some physical limitations, and I don't think he's going to complete 73.5% of his passes all year, with 1 of every 10 being a touchdown. But does this feel like a team that's maybe better than we gave them credit for this offseason?
I think they're kind of like what they were a year ago, maybe a touch better, but I think a lot of us thought they'll just fall off. And they're not. They're not falling off. Now, I will say this. That Detroit game was kind of an anomaly. Like, if you look at that game, I don't have the stats in front of me. I'm in the car right now. The Lions outgained them something like 470 to like 230. It was ridiculous. I mean, the Lions had 7 trips to the red zone and scored 1 touchdown. That game's played 10 times. The Lions probably won it 9 times, but it's not. Played once. Tampa Bay won it. But I think the Buccaneers are probably a team that we all thought, oh, yeah, the Falcons will win the division. The Bucs will go 7, 10, 8, 9. No, I think the Bucs are, probably a playoff team in the NFC. But, look, do I think all of a sudden we've underrated to the point they're a contender? No. But do I think they can do what they did a year ago? Get in, win a playoff game, be frisky? Yeah, I think they can do that. I think a lot of it's kind of overlooked.
Matt, final question here. You got about 30 seconds left. Would you say that Jaden Daniels has been the most efficient rookie quarterback of all 3 that are starting when it comes to not throwing interceptions and being able to complete at a high percentage?
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. I mean, Caleb Williams, not part of it, has no chance. He can't block anybody. But even when he has had time, he's been inaccurate. He's been erratic. He's been jittery in the pocket. And Bo Nix, they just should never have started Bo Nix. Bo Nix, it's not. It's somewhat on him in the sense, like, he's 25 years old. Like, he's got to start in a way, but also, like, that team around him, they just have no offense. So yes, Daniels, who has been pretty good, looks like Joe Montana compared to the other 2 guys. So yeah, he played well. We'll see him on Monday night in Cincinnati.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. You can hear him on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network, and check out his Patreon, the Matt Verderame Show. Find him on Twitter at Matt Verderame, and hear him on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline every Monday on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, always a pleasure. Enjoy the Monday Night Football game tonight. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, guys. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We'll take a break, come back, wrap up the 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio after this. 3:56 on 580 Sports Talk, hour one, just about in the books. We revisit our Prairie Man Sportsbook 580 picks contest and congratulate Brendan on a big week. 4-1. Nicely done.
What was my one that got wrong?
Jets and the Titans. You had the Titans
No,
plus 4.
that's right. I did have the
Lost
Titans.
by a touchdown.
Yeah.
You now have a commanding lead over both myself and Spencer. Both
That's
of us
right.
going 1-4. I don't think
Smells like broken
This is
here.
not my year.
I didn't pick bad games. The players played bad. My lock of the week was the Texans minus 6.5, and they're up 9 and driving for a game-killing touchdown, and they fumble at the 2 and give up a field goal. I'm sorry. How's that my fault?
Spoken like someone who
Cam Akers owes me 1 betting unit.
spoken like someone who sends Instagram DMs to athletes when they lose a 12-leg parlay.
See, I would never go that far. Do not lump me in with those people.
Good. I'm
Do
glad.
not lump me in with those people. But if Cam Akers would like to reimburse me out of the generosity of his own heart, he's more than welcome to. We also do a survivor pool, and Spencer, you're out of it.
Yeah, well, the Ravens should not have lost to the Raiders. The
Well,
Ravens are frauds.
we-
The Ravens are frauds.
We're-
Lamar, go work at a grocery store.
We're going to let you keep picking to see if you can shoot the moon. We're going to let you keep picking and see if you can go 0-17 with your survivor picks.
That's just as hard as picking the winner every
The
time.
problem
Honestly,
is
it would
I've
be.
picked games that I thought would legit like they're not like you would think Baltimore would have beat. You would think
you
Cincinnati
would.
like
You would have thought that, but they
Minshew
didn't.
owns them.
And now you're out of the survivor pool. We got KU, K-State talk. What is wrong with you? We'll talk some baseball coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. 580 Sports Talk coming up.
Signature app. Together, fans with a plan can prevent serious injuries and fatalities caused by impaired drivers. Remember, in Kansas, you drink, you drive, you lose.
Buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. Before you tour a home, the real estate professional you're working with may ask you to sign a buyer's agreement, which describes the services you receive, each party's role and responsibilities, and how your agent will be compensated, all of which you'll want to discuss with them up front. So work with an agent who's a realtor. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors with a duty to honestly represent you and put your interests above their own, because that's real.
Tired of ads interrupting your favorite news podcast? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Stay up to date on everything newsworthy with podcasts like The Daily, Up First, and 5 Things Uninterrupted at Amazon.com/ad-free. Just head to Amazon.com/ad-free to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
The Kansas Department of Transportation and the Drive to Zero Coalition invite you to join Fans with a Plan. If you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver.
Clear sailing here this evening and into the overnight hours. Our low slowly falling to about 65 degrees. Sunny and warm and toasty weather Tuesday, the high upper 80s. Very late Tuesday night, early Wednesday, there's a system brushing our area with a stray thunderstorm chance. See some clearing Wednesday afternoon, the high mid to upper 80s. Slight chance for rain again Wednesday night and Thursday morning. And then clearing Thursday afternoon. And increasing rain chance Friday and into the weekend. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Nairborn from the Capitol Federal Weather Center.
This is the voice of Kansas, WIPW Topeka.
Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on this Victory Monday. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuis hanging out with you until 6 o'clock this afternoon on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream. We're on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk is the channel. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We got our instant reaction videos. You got me doing immaculate grids. You got Brendan making little shorts. You've got
Daisy Dukes,
not those kinds of
Nike
little
running
hot
shorts.
pants.
Oh yeah. There's a picture of me on my Facebook, which you guys can't see. Of me in high school wearing a pair of like real short running shorts. A real good look.
We put Brendan in hot pants. I think we might lose all 632 of our YouTube subscribers.
Probably gain a different 632 though.
Hey,
Fair is fair.
Different kind of
Fair is fair.
clientele.
Hey, if it was me, we'd lose them and never get them back.
I want to say we're going to have to hold off for a long time on our 580 Sports Talk Olympics because I am here to report that at Hummer Sports Park, the track is nowhere close to being done.
That's a bummer.
That's true. Yeah, they were supposed to resurface the track and they have not. They've not put the track down yet there. So hopefully,
So
that gets
there's
done for,
a loss of content,
track.
unfortunately.
Hopefully they can get it done for track season over there at Hummer Sports Park.
How was the game on Friday night?
It was a really good showing for Shawnee Heights. They beat Topeka West 53-8, I believe was the final score, if I'm remembering right. Really good showing for them. Really impressed with their quarterback, Aiden Scott. Really good player. Good-looking junior quarterback for the T-Birds. West is much improved. I don't think that final score does them justice. They moved the ball.
Yeah.
They just weren't able to finish drives. They had some drops. They had some penalties. And
shout out to their defensive lineman that's played on special teams.
Cooper. Yeah, Adrian Cooper blocked 3 extra points in a row.
Heck of a player.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
That's one of the coolest things I've ever seen a high school player do in a game is block 3 consecutive extra points. So they are dramatically improved. Like fundamentally up front, like all the things, like they're laying a foundation. You can see it. We're gonna get a chance to see West again this Friday night on our Lewis Toyota game of the week. Another tough draw for them. They take on Seaman at Don Pierce Field on Friday night. We'll be there for that one. But,
big game for both those teams though, because Seaman could use a bounce back after this weekend.
Seaman
too.
coming off of a loss. They went out to the Metro, got beat by Shawnee Mission East. Certainly a good learning experience, I think, for Jared Swafford's squad. So, we'll look forward to that one coming up this next Friday. That'll be on our sister station, Country 106.9. While we're on the topic of local football, barn burner at Yager Stadium on Saturday, and Washburn came within inches of what could have been a season-defining and course-altering win for them against number 5 team in the country and the defending national runners-up from the Colorado School of Mines.
Yeah, in a weekend that was unbelievable, truly unbelievable around the MIAA. UCM gives up 50-plus to UCO and loses. Pitt State was upset by Emporia State. Northwest finally got a win, and it was by beating Fort Hays State, which had moved into the top 25 this week. Unbelievable week in the league, excuse me. And Washburn came so close, man. They played their absolute hearts out. I know you were there at the game, you in the PA at Yager Stadium. Spencer, I know you were listening for a little bit. I'm really proud of the effort. I thought both quarterbacks looked so much more comfortable than they did in the opener against Emporia State. Hayden Clark, I thought things really slowed down for him. You got to see the big arm on the 85-yard touchdown pass to Trey Richardson. About 40 of them were in the air. I mean, it was a beautiful throw.
Really good ball.
By Hayden. Keller Hurla had 2 gorgeous fade ball touchdown passes. I thought he really looked in command of the offense. Defense, in Mines has one of the best offenses in the entire country. 31 to them is that's nothing to be ashamed of by any means. Comes down to a long field goal try at the end. Crazy game. Really proud of the effort. And I think it is certainly fair to say if you were down on this team's trajectory a week ago, you should be right back on with them because they played their hearts out.
They've got all kinds of playmakers on offense. The offensive line appeared to be much improved.
Oh my gosh, way improved.
I think they put themselves in a real good spot. And look, if we learned anything from this last weekend in the MIAA, like every week kind of feels up for grabs.
Not that I was expecting a disappointment, but obviously Colorado School of the Mines is a tough school. When I covered Shepherd, I watched Shepherd lose to them by a mile. It was a blowout in the semifinals. I'm pretty sure, if I think about it correctly. I literally saw the score on Twitter and made it a point to turn the game on because I was like, I could hear something special.
Yeah,
it could happen, and
very nearly did.
As much as Washburn from the outside, I haven't looked too much at Washburn, but they're on their 2 backup and third string quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean,
be able to do that's a heck of an effort.
Yeah, it sounds like things are trending positively for Sam Van Dyne that he will hopefully be back within the next few weeks. So things are on the upward trend for this Washburn team.
Absolutely. We got plenty more football to talk about on the show. We're going to get back into the Chiefs later on. Again, the news about Isiah Pacheco, in case you have missed it, he will need surgery on his fractured fibula. Will miss at least 6 weeks. The hopeful timeline is 6 to 8 weeks. And the Chiefs are already bringing in former Chief Kareem Hunt for a free agent visit tomorrow, according to Tom Pelissero and other sources. We'll discuss that a little bit later on in today's show. Some more NFL talk, some more college football talk. We'll get to the Royals later on this hour. They took 2 of 3 from the Pirates this weekend and moved their magic number for playoff qualification down to just 7. That's coming up. What is wrong with you is coming up. We're going to begin this 4 o'clock hour with some more college football, in-state college football. We go back to Friday night, where in both Kansas and Kansas State were in action. And we'll start with the good news. K-State 31, Arizona 7. Complete 180 for the Kansas State defense from the Tulane game, where receivers were running wide open, where coverages were being blown, assignments were being missed, and it felt like the Wildcats might have a major issue on that end. Look, Tetairoa McMillan got his. We had 11 catches, close to 200 yards receiving. Like, that guy's going to win the Fred Blitnikoff Award for best wide receiver in the country. Right now, he's the overwhelming favorite, I would imagine.
He and Luther Burden are playing a different game than every other receiver in the country right now.
Look, he got his. He was always going to get his. He is going to get his in the NFL for a very long time. I just think he's that kind of player.
Mm-hmm.
But for the better part of Friday night's game, Noah Fafita couldn't find anyone else. And there were a lot of plays that Fafita tried to extend because the coverage was really sticky, and Kansas State could get after him with 3 or 4 in their pass rush. And Fafita's not a guy who's great on the run. He's not a guy who's going to beat you like with his legs. So Kansas State did a complete 180 in their secondary. They were much better. Keenan Garber made a play. His interception in the first half. I cannot tell you how great a play that is. For the corner in cover 3, if you were watching the broadcast on Fox, I actually thought Devin Gardner, I was not wild about the broadcast crew, frankly. If that's going to be Fox's big Friday night, like, highlight feature game, and they're going to roll Tim Brando, who, look, it happens to the best of us. We get older and we get a little confused. He gets really confused. He gets extremely confused often. And
there was one point
I would say something on Twitter, but he would find it and he would say something about me. And I don't need those problems.
There was one point where he just stopped in the middle of a sentence and changed to something else. You could tell he was getting caught up and just switched to a different topic.
And I don't think Devin Gardner's a very good color guy. I don't think the sideline reporter was very good. I thought the broadcast, like the camera work, was really bad. Like, it was not a great first Friday night Fox football game, to be completely frank. But that being said, Devin Gardner made a great point. Was able to highlight how difficult a play that was for Keenan Garber as the cover 3 cornerback to, as soon as Fafita goes into his throwing motion on that play, because he's throwing the deep post and the receivers got inside leverage on the high safety in the cover 3. That is a touchdown. Unless Keenan Garber goes into a dead sprint immediately and tracks that ball and jumps in front of it out of nowhere to intercept that pass in the end zone. That is an NFL play. That's an unbelievable play that Garber just made. And that was the thing that separated Kansas State from Arizona. Arizona's got their guy. Tetairoa McMillan is absolutely their guy. But K-State had more guys who made big plays. It wasn't just the Garber pick. Obviously, it's the punt return by Dylan Edwards. I'm going to be laughing about number 92 for Arizona trying to cut off the angle on Dylan Edwards on that punt return, probably for the rest of the season. I'm thinking about it and smiling, and I might laugh right now.
Why was he on punt coverage?
Why was he the last man back?
Why was that guy on punt coverage? That didn't make a lick of sense to me. I think this game really kind of exposed that, at least for now, Arizona's one-dimensional. And look, if I'm Brent Brennan and I lost a bunch of guys from this past year, not everyone, but a number of guys, and I'm trying to get my stuff in, and you've got this electrifying connection and a good running back too. I think Quali Conley's a nice player. Not elite, but nice. I would just keep going back to the well too. I would say, hey, go find T-Mac over and over and over again until they stop it, which most teams are not going to be able to do. But I think it exposed them as largely one-dimensional. And you're 100% right. K-State's just got when there is a problem for Arizona's offense, the answer is Tetairoa McMillan. But what do we do if they're pressing? Get it to T-Mac.
Yes.
But what do we do
Screw
if
it.
it's zone?
McMillan's down there somewhere.
Get it to T-Mac. What if they are forcing us to run? Throw it to T-Mac. Like, that is the answer. But it's not a skeleton key, because that's not how football works. It's not like the NFL where Patrick Mahomes is the skeleton key. It just opens every door. That's not how it works for every other football player anywhere. So you get limited. If you're in a game where another team is playing that well and has improved clearly over the course of the week and has made the necessary adjustments, you're going to get exposed. Meanwhile, I thought K-State did a better, although still not fully all the way there, job of mixing in the playmakers a little bit more. I'm taking a long way to say, give the ball to Dylan Edwards. Because
there's got to be more of him. And there was a little more, but there needs to be even more, because that's a guy that nobody can run with.
And I get not overexposing him. I get not using him to a full capacity before Big 12 play officially begins. I understand all of those things, but he is your most dynamic playmaker. I'm not quite to saying he's the best, because I still want to give DJ Giddens his props.
And Giddens
he's still very talented.
And he was really good.
Yeah, he was great. I thought he played really well. But that's exactly what you're talking about, is there were just too many weapons. I don't know. I'm not concerned about this, but I am inquisitive about it. Avery is a slow starter. I think that is very clear.
3 games
over the last
in.
3 games.
Yeah, 3 games in, we have seen him not play particularly well in the first half and play very well in the second half.
Yeah, I was going to say, to build on that, I think his performance against Tulane was a little bit overrated. I don't think he was bad. I think he was good. I don't think he was great by any means in the second half against Tulane. I thought he was on fire against Arizona. I thought he looked comfortable. I thought he looked poised.
And what did they do to get him comfortable? They let him be him.
Yep.
They ran him 17 times. He rushed for over 100 yards. And those weren't all designed runs, but there was more designed QB run than we saw in the first 2 games. And when you let a player do all of the things that they're capable of doing. I think that raises Avery Johnson's comfort level when he's out there getting hit, when he's out there and has the ability to keep the ball on an option play. He gets more involved. He gets more comfortable. He's better. He's a better passer right now on the run than he is out in the pocket. And I think he'll get those things dialed in. I think that we're just scratching the surface with him. And what we've seen, especially in the second halves the last 2 weeks, has been really, really good.
Yeah, no, I agree. If I was a K-State fan, I would feel very happy about where my team is going into conference play. That Arizona game, I kept saying, we all said it, but I know I really emphasized it. That meant a lot. I think that was the real litmus test going into Big 12 play. K-State passed with flying colors. There's really nothing to be upset about after that game.
3-0 going to BYU to start conference play this Saturday. Now let's go ahead.
You guys were talking about broadcasters. You know who's going to be broadcasting this game this Saturday?
Is it Tim Brando?
No, it will be Dave Fleming and Brock Osweiler.
Oh, the rocket ship.
Let's get to the Jayhawks. They fall to UNLV, and I am not wanting to push the panic button with the Jayhawks because I genuinely believe that they are 3 plays away from being 3-0 right now. And 2 of those plays are fumbles that I still don't know how they didn't recover. The fumbled punt in the Illinois game, if they recover that punt, fumble, or muffed punt, they've got a 4-point lead in short field and they win that football game. If they recover the UNLV fumble at midfield that I think every Jayhawk up to and including Chris Harris and Aqib Talib got their hands on and still couldn't recover, I think they probably win that game because, again, they're winning at that point. They get the ball short field. When they are ahead, if they get to a point where the game state allows them to, and they just hammer it away with Devin Neal and Daniel Highshaw, that's when we're going to see this KU offense probably at its best. We didn't get to see that because they didn't recover those fumbles. And the KU defense couldn't get off the field in the fourth quarter again. Jalen Daniels didn't play very well again. And so that becomes the big question because I am not down completely on Kansas. UNLV's good. Illinois, I think they moved in. Yeah, they have moved into the top 25.
24th this week.
Yes. And UNLV, I believe, is 25th.
First time they've ever been ranked.
So, these are not bad teams. This is not like when KU was, losing to pre-Grayson McCall Coastal Carolina, right? This is not that. Yeah. But I do think we have to adjust the ceiling a little bit for this team in Big 12 play, at least until we see some positive regression, if it's coming at all, from Jalen Daniels. Because this is, we're 3 games in, he's thrown 6 picks. It's starting to become a trend. And not a pleasant one.
So JD has thrown 6 interceptions in the last 3 games. It took him his prior 13 games, he threw 7. So a full season and bowl games worth of games spread out over 3 years. He threw 7 picks. He's thrown 6 in the last 3 games. I said it during the good, the bad, and the ugly last hour. I love Jalen Daniels. I have nothing bad to say about the guy, his work ethic. He takes so much flack from other fan bases because he was cocky at media day one time 2 years ago. That's it for some reason.
Yeah, I hate how that's I hate using that against a 20-something kid for.
Let's be blunt. It sucks. It sucks that is still a thing.
It's stupid. It's I see it more from the rivalry perspective of it. I understand if you're a K-State fan, you're gonna be a hater. If you're a KU fan, you're gonna be a hater on K-State and Avery's purple Lamborghini and all that stuff. I get it. Rivalries are rivalries, but I don't understand the need to make it personal when it comes to Daniels in that regard.
I agree 100% with you, and I know for a fact the kind of work he has put in to get back to this point. I'm telling you, I know what he has gone through to get here. That being said, he just hasn't been good enough. The intercept, it's the decision making. And I don't know if he doesn't trust his arm. I don't know if he doesn't trust his back. I don't know if he doesn't trust his eyes, but he's late because you know this. You've seen his entire career, Dan. He's never been a bad decision maker. Sometimes he gets a little too confident in his abilities and he makes a bad throw. But he's always been a good decision maker. That hasn't been a problem for him since he was a true freshman.
He's never a guy putting the ball at risk.
No, 2 years ago, before he injured his shoulder against TCU, he was incredible. Every single week he came out, he was making the right throw in the right spot, the right touch every single time. He just hasn't had that. I don't know why. I do not know why. I'm not going to speculate as to why. I just know that something is up. He has not played well enough, and I hate to beat a dead horse. Jeff Grimes got to figure this out, man, because there's a drive in the second half. It was KU's last points, the field goal in the second half, start of the fourth quarter. KU was cruising down the field. UNLV had sold out on the run, which they could do because Daniels was off and because they knew Devin Neal is killing us. Yet again, Devin Neal was the best player on the field, but KU actually gave him the ball plenty in this game, especially without Daniel Highshaw. I've got no beef with that. No problem with the Devin Neal usage in this game, but UNLV had sold out on the run. Finally, KU starts to get it moving again. They start to move the ball a little bit with Devin Neal on the ground. They're starting to move it through the air a little bit, piece by piece. Great. They get down into the red zone. 2nd down and 2. Bubble screen to Luke Grimm, loss of 6 yards, totally killed the drive, field goal. That was the last time KU scored. You're making it work going north-south the entire drive. You get into the red zone, and suddenly let's go back to throwing behind the line of scrimmage, just like Illinois a week ago. We saw that game. Illinois knew immediately every single time one of those tunnel screens was coming. Every single time. UNLV was the same way. They should see it coming a mile away. Grimm gets plastered in the backfield, goes absolutely nowhere. You got to figure this out, man. I'm not saying you take them completely out of the game plan. There is a use for them now and again, but they are way too heavily in the game plan. And I would not be surprised. I don't know this, but I would not be surprised if there is a bit of a communication problem here. New offensive coordinator, veteran quarterback who's rusty and coming back from injury. There seems to be a communication breakdown. And it's unfortunate, too, because you know who's played pretty well? The defense.
Yeah.
I think the defense, for the most part, has been awesome. The defensive line has been great. It has been awesome. I thought Kobe Bryant struggled in the first half. I had some issues, but I thought he played really well in the second half. I thought he had really picked it up. Tommy Dunn, defensive tackle. Oh, my God. He is playing
He's
at a
leveled
phenomenal level.
Yeah.
Neil Brown, West Virginia's head coach, just today at West Virginia's media availability, said he thinks right now Tommy Dunn's playing all Big 12 caliber. Like, that's a defensive tackle who most people don't know, and Neil Brown's pointing him out. I got my beef with Neil Brown, but
he knows ball.
He knows ball in this case. He's absolutely right there. The one saving grace, and I know I'm going long here, over on Twitter, Parker Fleming. We use his stats a lot. He comes out with a post every Monday that says, did we really get beat that bad? And it's the success rate. If you don't know what success rate is, it essentially has to do with down and distance, how many yards are you gaining? On first down, did you gain 40% of the yards needed? That counts as success. On third down and fourth down, did you move the sticks? That counts as success. If you don't, it counts as a failure. So that's what success rate is. And it's the net success rate for every game in the FBS. Tennessee beating Kent State by a zillion points. Yes, Kent State did get beaten that badly. The gap between Kansas and UNLV favoring Kansas was bigger than the gap between Alabama and Wisconsin. And Alabama beat the crap out of the Badgers for a full 60 minutes. Beat the crap out of them. KU had a better success rate by a bigger margin against UNLV and lost. Like that. It's encouraging because you know they're close. Mm-hmm. You know this KU team is close. You said 3 plays.
Yeah, I don't feel like all of a sudden, oh no, this looks like a 5-7, 4-8 football team. Like I don't believe that about KU at all.
So that's encouraging, but it's equally, if not more, maddening that they haven't gotten there.
The Jayhawker in the YouTube live chat says Jeff Grimes, major part of the problem. Andy Koldenicki had a much better feel for what the players could do during a game.
Look, I know that this is so easy to say now, but I do feel like I said something to this effect during the offseason when the hires were made. I don't understand why you had to hire someone other than Jim Zebrowski anyway. Jim Zebrowski is a great coach, and we saw it in the bowl game. He's a great play caller.
Yeah.
So I was perplexed by that decision. I'm not going to call for the guy to be fired. I think that's inappropriate, but I do think there are some very obvious mistakes that need to be worked out here.
They've got to get it ironed out, and they got to do it in the second half because it's 2 weeks in a row that the offense looked largely better than functional in the first half of games and then just stagnant in the second half. I guess that's the biggest, the word I would use is to say they stagnate in the second half.
One quick point, because I know we have to break. West Virginia is not very good. I really don't think they are. They are going to be desperate. They are at home where they always have a good home field advantage, even when they are not very good at Milan Puskar Stadium. That is going to be that feels like a must-win game for Kansas against a desperate opponent.
Probably
at
must win
their
for
place.
both teams. Like,
I agree.
I'll tell you this: if I were drawing it up, like that would be the last game I would want to play if I were coming off of back-to-back non-conference losses in a season with some expectations. That would be the absolute last way I would want to open conference play, is going on the road in a tough environment to play a team that's in the same boat that you are.
Yep.
With two disappointing non-conference losses, bad showings.
And only wins are over FCS opponents.
This is true.
Yeah.
The only thing is, one is probably playing to keep his job, and the other is just trying to get his team back on track.
I think the KU culture with Lance Leipold is strong enough that even if they did lose in Morgantown, I would not think that would tank the rest of the season. I think they're still a focused enough team and a together enough team that I wouldn't worry about them, even if they don't go win on Saturday. But you'd rather not have that problem. You'd rather just go win on Saturday and right the ship, because I think they're capable of it. I think they have the ingredients. It's just a matter of take care of the football and fall on the dang fumble. Like just fall on it, man. Just flop on top of the loose ball, and they be 3-0 today, if not for that. But it is funny that like the Big 12 kind of shaking out like we thought it was going to shake out, where Utah and Kansas State look to be kind of a cut ahead of the rest, and there's some other like Oklahoma State has looked good, and Iowa State's got a good win, and the teams that we thought were like the second tier have been the second tier. But K-State and Utah go into Big 12 play probably feeling the best about where they're at, and frankly, where their college football playoff chances stand. We're taking a break here on 580 Sports Talk from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. We still got some Royals baseball to get to, plenty more football still to come. We got half a show left. We're going to come back with some What Is Wrong With You? New week of What Is Wrong With You here on 580 WIBW. Time for another round of What is Wrong with You here on 580 Sports Talk. Our first round of this new week here in the month of September. Two great stories to bring you today. I will start us off. You know, it's going to be a good story when the headline starts with nude man. I don't know why I don't know. Maybe
Is that so?
Maybe it's the AL.com style guide that gives us a news story that begins with nude man. I don't know why they go nude instead of naked, but hey, not my business. Nude man arrested. Madison police, Madison, Alabama, are attempting to discover the identity of a nude man. I don't know why I find nude man is funnier to me than naked man. I don't know, from a comedy perspective.
I agree with that.
A nude man who law enforcement officers say attempted to steal a patrol car Thursday afternoon after a string of incidents along a busy highway. The incident happened around 1:35 p.m. on Thursday. This is the middle of the day. Police from Madison and Huntsville responded to multiple 911 calls in an area on Alabama 72 West and Promenade Point Parkway. Calls from Madison Bowling Center, Burger King, Walmart, and Mr. Car Wash. That's a business, by the way. That's not just some guy with a wild last name. Reported a nude man trying to enter people's vehicles, breaking windows, and assaulting people. Callers also reported the man was possibly dragged by a vehicle after trying to enter it while it was occupied. Madison police arrived on the scene and made contact with the nude man on Promenade Point Parkway. According to police, the unidentified man attempted to enter and steal an officer's police car, and the officer used force to detain the man. Huntsville police are investigating the alleged crime that occurred prior to officers arriving. Madison police arrested the man for the attempted theft of the police vehicle and other alleged public order crimes. He was transported to Huntsville Hospital for medical treatment and jailed upon his release. The man's identity was still being verified. I imagine he wasn't carrying an ID on account of being nude. Anyway, yeah, guy had himself an afternoon. Middle of the day, man.
It's hot.
It's 1:35 on a Thursday. You're running around all out there.
Y'all been outside recently? It's hot out there, man. You gotta cool off.
Talk about ruining a trip to the Burger King, man. Like I want to have it my way, but not that kind of way.
Listen, if we're keeping it a buck here, if we're keeping it 100, I've seen worse inside of Burger King before.
That's
not the only mystery meat I've seen inside of Burger King.
That is none of my business, and I wish I'd never heard you say that. Spencer, you have a story today.
Yes. We're going back to Flagler County, Florida. A 62-year-old man is facing DUI charges after deputies there said he was operating heavy machinery while under the influence. The deputy said they responded to a scrapyard in Bunnell to reports of a verbal altercation and threats made by a man operating heavy machinery. According to the social media post by the sheriff's office, deputies observed John Kastner operating the excavator while he was clearly impaired. He was placed under arrest for DUI. No other information was released. They made a post on their Facebook or their social media and said, if you're drunk, you shouldn't be behind the wheel or levers.
So it looks like he's in the middle of a scrapyard.
Yeah, there's video of it too, which is pretty funny.
Like, is he really doing any harm if the thing's not moving? He's just swinging all over the place.
He's operating an excavator while intoxicated.
Now, if there's somebody around to get in a verbal altercation with him.
He was getting a verbal altercation, so.
62 years old.
I'm drunk. Let me go down to the scrapyard.
Regular Friday. Regular Friday in Florida. And get housed and play with the excavators.
I mean, I guess if
kind of sounds like fun, to be honest with you.
I guess better than driving 100 on a 65 on a weekend.
3 or 4
crashing to someone a few beers in.
3 or 4 IPAs and crush some old cars.
Yeah,
that actually sounds like it would rock. To be completely honest with you, in a controlled environment, man, sign me up.
There have been worse weekends.
The nude man probably had one of them.
I've had some at a Burger King.
All right, we going to excavator DUI or nude man today?
I would like to refer to Paul in the 580 Sports Talk YouTube comments. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube is where you can find us. posted one of Batman's lesser-known villains, the Dangler.
Oh, no.
Which is vile, but also very funny. I'm going to go with that story, our nudist here.
I guess he's got another comment that's cracking me up, too, for it.
Yeah, YouTube commenters, you are all very funny. Just so you know. We can't read them all on the air. But you guys
are very funny.
You guys are being very funny today. All right, Nude Man advances. Why is that so much funnier than Naked Man?
Day Man, fighter of the nude man, champion of the sun.
Royals baseball. We're going to talk about it when we come back on 580 Sports Talk. .443 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer, thanks for being with us here in the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. Got an NFL stat. We're going to get to the Royals in a second. Got an NFL stat that'll blow your mind, and it kind of goes with a conversation our listeners were having in the YouTube live chat earlier today about field goal kickers. Maybe they're too good. Maybe we've gotten to a point where the kickers are too good. You know that through almost a full 2 weeks in the NFL, kickers as a whole are 35 for 39 from 50 or more yards.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
We had some listeners who were talking about this, Christopher Clayton in the YouTube live chat, and kind of wondering do we need to make it a little harder on the kickers? Do we need to maybe de-inflate the K-balls? Do we need to shrink the goalposts? Do we need to maybe put them on like a motor so you're trying to hit a moving target between the hashes? That could be fun.
Yeah.
Because I think there's an interesting discussion to be had about how that affects how teams play and coach. If they know that anything inside of 50 yards is automatic and that they feel really good, maybe it changes how teams like play offense, and not for the better either. It makes teams more conservative, less willing to try and go down the field and score touchdowns. I do wonder if maybe we've going here with the effectiveness of kickers.
That's a great question. I'm not sure what the answer is to it, or it's an interesting problem, and I'm not sure what the solution to it is. I mean, I was going to jokingly say you start scaling the points you get on field goals, that if you kick it from under 30 yards, it's only 1 point. If you kick it 30 to 50, it's 2, and 50 plus, it's 3. But everyone can make it from 50 plus now, except Justin Tucker. He's broken. Or just old.
Yes, Justin Tucker has 2 of those 4 misses. Thanks to the texter from the 785 on the Top Emails Play text line for pointing that out.
1 for his last 7 from 50 plus.
Father time comes for everyone.
For every single one of us. Yeah, that's rough. But I mean, Butker is automatic at this point. Brandon Aubrey is automatic.
Yeah.
Every team's got a kicker who's at least pretty good. Green Bay's kicker, Braden Narvison, is 5 for 7, and he's like the biggest bum in the league at this point because he's only made 5 of his 7. It's kind of incredible that we've gotten to that point, but I don't really know what the solution is.
I don't even know if it needs a solution necessarily.
It might not.
It's wild to watch games and feel like, oh, he got to the 36-yard line on this 3rd down and long. Well, shoot, that's 3 points. Like I don't know what your experience is watching the games, but it doesn't feel like those guys are going to miss.
No.
I agree with that.
Shoot, Spencer, your kicker didn't yesterday.
Yeah.
Literally did.
But last week, the kicker they had missed both.
Then you know that got him fired.
Yeah.
Austin Seibert, ready to go to college. And Oklahoma.
Oh, wait, I knew that because the punter, Tress Way, also went to Oklahoma, but like 10 years later or earlier.
Yeah, Tress Way had been in the game for a minute.
God, Tress Way, I'm pretty sure punted for Bud Wilkinson at Oklahoma.
Well, he's the Commander's best player or the Washington's best player for the last like 8 years. Guess what he didn't have to do yesterday?
Punt
Once.
7
I like that.
field goals is crazy.
It is great.
Scored 3 touchdowns because their kicker got hurt on the opening kickoff.
It was, I saw this on SportsCenter last night. The second time ever, it's like 1,502 all time that a team scored 3 touchdowns, didn't allow a touchdown, and lost. In 1989, I think it was Rams-Vikings. I think it was the Rams beat the Vikings. They won 23-21. They had 7 field goals and a safety. I believe it was an overtime safety, if I remember correctly.
There's a funny comment from the 785 on the Top Emails Supply text line. Keep the field goal the same, but we got to work on the kickoff thing. It's not helping me not go to the kitchen.
You know what the wild thing about it is, though? The kicks that aren't going into the end zone, it's working. Like, the returns are more fun. They are more adventurous than they had been in years. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
The problem, the touchback is not enough of a penalty.
Yeah, they need to move touchback to the 35 or the 40. If you don't want people, especially if field goals from 50 are automatic, yeah, move the touchback up if you want kickers to try and place it for the sake of a return.
Would you rather have them make the touchback more of a penalty or move the kickoff back?
Make it harder to. I don't know, man. Kickers' legs. Obviously, we just talked about kickers' legs are unbelievable.
Because that's the camp I've always been in, is move the kickoff back so that it's like an accomplishment to get it into the end zone again. If you get another 5 yards, nowadays Harrison Butker could still kick it through the end zone every single time. So I think you need to make the touchback more of a penalty.
A suggestion from the 785 on the text line: move the kicker to the 20-yard line. I don't know, man. 2 yards on the fly.
Ooh, I don't know. 80's a lot.
It was there at one point, right?
It was at the 30 for a long time.
And then they moved it back.
Then they moved it up to the 35.
Up to the 35. Yeah, they can move it back to the 30.
Because college has been the 35.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to see that at the very least. Anyhow, Royals baseball, let's get into the Royals real quick. There's not a ton to say about this last weekend series against the Pirates because Pirates are not a good team and the Royals are. And a good team goes on the road and takes 2 out of 3 from a bad team, especially in the crux of in the heat of a pennant race. And that's what the Royals did. They couldn't complete the sweep. They lost yesterday 4-3, but they won handily on Friday and they won handily on Saturday. They got good starting pitching both nights. Alec Marsh with 11 strikeouts on Friday night. Michael Wacha 5 strong on Saturday in the bullpen taking care of the business. Bobby Witt Jr. went over 100 RBI. Him and Salvador Perez both over 100 RBI on the season. But they didn't complete the sweep. And 2 things happened in that game that kind of make you a little bit nervous. Number one, they were 1 of 12 with runners in scoring position. And all year long, a lot of the Royals' success, and we talked about this during the 7-game losing streak, is that a lot of their success this year has been predicated on being great. Not just good, great with runners in scoring position. Can they grind out a win when they're not getting hits with runners in scoring position? They have to find other ways to deliver those runs and move guys over in those spots and make sure they're delivering runs because, look, I mean, 5 would have been enough. Like they get 1 more hit or 1 sacrifice fly in a spot where you strike out, and it could have been a very different outcome. So that's one thing that kind of jumped out for me for this weekend. The other thing, tough outing for Brady Singer yesterday. 5 innings, 4 runs allowed on 6 hits, walked 4, and struck out 6. The Royals since August are 1-7 in Brady Singer's starts. The only one they won was his 6 shutout innings in Cincinnati back on August 18th. Singer himself is 1-5 with an ERA of 5.40 in his last 8 starts. Now, there's underlying numbers that suggest that he's been a little bit unlucky. His fielding independent number is 2 runs lower than that ERA.
That's wild.
He's still striking out over a batter per 9 in this stretch. 44 strikeouts in 43 and a third innings. The batting average on balls in play for Singer in this stretch is 389, which is a really high number. And again, suggests that he's been a little bit unlucky. And he's only given up 4 home runs. He's only walked 14. So walks, other than yesterday, really haven't been a problem in this stretch. But I do think that it is further evidence that when you get into the best of 3 wild card series, if indeed that's where the Royals end up, he kind of feels like the odd man out, the guy that's not going to start one of the first 3 games, unless, and Christopher pointed this out in the YouTube comments earlier, the Royals are lined up to start Lugo and Reagan's final 2 games of the regular season. And they might need both of those games, not to make the playoffs. They should wrap up a playoff berth long before they go to Atlanta for the final 3 games of the regular season. But could be the number 4 seed in the wild card and home games in the first round up for grabs. It could be the division still up for grabs. And if Lugo and Reagan's have to pitch in one of those games, then all of a sudden you might be in a position where you've got to start Brady Singer in a wild card game. So I guess what the numbers tell you is that he has not pitched as bad as his ERA would suggest, but 1-7 in his last 8 starts. That's tough. And it's not as though the Royals haven't scored any runs for him. They got 3 the last time out. They scored 4 in that loss to the Yankees, where he was just kind of okay. I think that my broader point is that Singer has pitched his way out of that top 3 mix, I think, pretty firmly.
I think you can, if I'm doing the math correctly, I think you can get away with not having to, with pitching those 2 of them at the end of the season and then not needing to use Singer in the wild card round. I think, because if you're, what's the order? Lugo, then Reagan's?
I think that's right.
So if Lugo pitches on the 28th, the season ends the next day, the 29th. Off day on the 30th, and then the wild card series begins for AL wild card number 2. That'll be the Royals on October 1st. So that would be 2 days rest, 3 days rest, and
4 days rest.
He would be on pace to get there for what would be game 3 on October 3rd.
That would be
you wouldn't
ideal.
Get Reagan's. You would not get him for that series, which is a worry, obviously. So you would probably have to get yourself set for Wacha, Lorenzen, Lugo.
Yeah.
Or I guess you could mix it around and I guess go with Reagan's instead of Lugo.
Or you just go with Singer and have a quick hook if the command isn't there. Because usually it's pretty obvious right away what kind of Brady Singer you're going to get. We got to take a break. We'll wrap up the hour after this. segment's going to be fast. We got one more hour of 580 Sports Talk coming up. We're going to talk NFL, Chiefs. We're going to do our headlines. We're going to preview Monday Night Football and the Royals game tonight. That's coming up. Stay with us on 580 WIBW.
Mobile deposit, and bill pay, making it easy to choose Farmers State Bank as your community bank.
That's what I like about Farmers State Bank. Hometown banking with the neighbors and friends. That's what I like about Farmers State Bank. And
Hi, I'm your Staples. We do everything for my business. And the quality is guaranteed. Absolutely. Plus, you'll need any price quote. Is that right? For sure. How about this? We'll need it. And you can new signs and colors. Sure can. How about blueprints? No problem. What about red prints? We print them, and they look amazing.
Now at Staples, print more, save more. Up to $150 off your print purchase. In select two restrictions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details and staples.com/price match for store price match guarantee.
You're back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs play here.
Mahomes looks that way. He's gonna go wide open left side. Caught. Kelsey corner out. Touchdown. Kansas City.
Listen to the best game day coverage in the NFL and follow the Chiefs all season long right here on your home for Kansas City Chiefs football.
The world champion Kansas City Chiefs play here. WIBW. This is the voice of Kansas. WIBW Topeka.
expected to cost 15 to 16 million starting next August. DP&E Farmline.
Approximately $1 million of that comes out of playing capital out. The other $8 million is the lease purchases, essentially a loan that is paid off through your annual budget. So this would not require a bond issue.
The next meeting on the plan is September 26th.
The Kansas Highway Patrol stopped a driver for doing 114 in the 70-mile-an-hour zone on US 24. The driver was arrested after being found in possession of an open container of marijuana and drug paraphernalia. This is Kansas Information Network News.
The weekend is just around the corner. When you're thinking about your plans and if you're drinking, remember to include safe transportation to your destination and a super ride home. That's what Kansas fans of the plan ask themselves. Who is the designated driver? Who will I call if I need a sober ride home? What rideshare app can I use? And most importantly, about who you can access. This is a message from the Alpha Media Drive to Zero Studio team and the Drive to Zero Coalition.
Managing constipation with belly pain from irritable bowel syndrome, constipation, or IBS-C with laxatives and fiber isn't enough. My doctor recommended a way to get ahead of it. Then I said, yes to Linzess. Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall bowel symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with blood or glass stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINCESS.
The Kansas Department of Transportation and the Drive to Zero Coalition invite you to join fans with a plan. If you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver.
We clear out there this evening and into the overnight hours, and we'll drive through Tuesday. An overnight low at 65 degrees and warm up to the upper 80s by Tuesday afternoon with a clear Tuesday night early. Late Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, some stray thunderstorms in the forecast. Wednesday's high from mid to upper 80s. Slight chance for wet weather Wednesday night and Thursday morning. A bigger system may bring in more stormy weather Friday night and parts of the weekend. I'm meteorologist Verderame from the Capital Federal Weather Center.
This is the voice of Kansas, WIBW Topeka.
Let's get it. Final hour on this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for hanging out with us on this pleasant Monday in the capital city, this Victory Monday, after the Chiefs go to 2-0 with their 26-25 win over the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. Dan Lucero, Brendan Dworzinski, Spencer Dupuis with you until 6 o'clock here on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream. WIBW News on Facebook. 580 Sports Talk is the YouTube channel. We're glad you're hanging out with us. We still got lots of content to get to in this final hour before we hand things off to the Royals Baseball Network right at the top of the 6 o'clock hour. Royals and Tigers tonight. 3-game set. The Tigers are 5 games back of the Royals with 12 games to play for both teams. And so the magic number, because the Royals have the tiebreaker, they're 7-3 against the Tigers. So nothing that happens can change the fact that the Royals have the tiebreaker. So they only need to finish with the same record as the Tigers to eliminate them from the playoffs. The magic number is 7. Just to give you an idea what that means. If the Royals swept the Tigers, that would be both a Royals win and a Tigers loss. So that would count double against the magic number. They could get it to 1 with a sweep. Your magic number to qualify for the playoffs over the Tigers would be 1. Now, that doesn't count the Mariners, who also have the same record as the Tigers. But the Royals also, for the time being, have the tiebreaker over the Mariners. They finished 3-3 against each other. The next tiebreaker is intra-divisional record, and the Royals have a better record in the Central than the Mariners do in the West.
Huh.
So the magic,
Interesting tiebreaker.
yes. So the magic number for that would only go down by 1 with a Royals win. The Mariners would also have to lose, but the Royals could bury the Tigers, completely wash them out with a sweep.
What are the odds that Detroit finishes 4-8 in their final 12 games? They get the Royals, the Orioles, the Rays, and the White Sox for 3 games each. How are we feeling about 4-8 stretch, folks?
I don't know that they're going to go 4-8.
Yeah,
You know who might go 4-8 though? The Orioles.
What does their schedule look like other than Detroit?
I don't know, but they've not been very good of late. I picked out a stat. We didn't get a chance to get to it last hour. But according to the Cespedes Family Barbecue Twitter account, the Orioles have not won a series against a team that is currently over 500 since July 4th.
Wow.
That's wild.
That is wild.
Royals are only 2 games back of the Orioles. They could theoretically catch Baltimore for that first wild card and get that wild card series at home.
Orioles are off today, just like the Royals are. They have 3 against the Giants.
The Royals are playing today.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I misspoke. They are off today. The Royals are playing today. My bad. But the Orioles will get 3 against the Giants, 3 against the Tigers, 3 against the Yankees, 3 against the Twins. And their final 6 against the Yankees and Twins are all on the road.
The Mariners, for what it is worth, they've got 3 with the Yankees at home starting tomorrow, then 3 at Texas, 3 at Houston, and then 3 at home against Oakland. So again, any combination of 7 Royals wins and Tigers losses, or Royals wins and Mariners losses, put the Kansas City Royals in the playoffs. And so, like, that could happen this week.
Yeah.
Like, realistically, it could. Like, if Seattle goes out and they lose 2 out of 3 to the Yankees, and the Royals, let's say they get 2 out of 3 from Detroit at home, and that would take the 2 out of 3 from the Tigers would take that magic number between the Royals and the Tigers down to 3. And would also then take, if the Mariners lose their series, would take that magic number down to 3 with 9 games left. It is getting close.
Yeah.
So that is a, or at the very least, it would not eliminate those teams, because those teams could still like catch the Twins.
Right.
But the Royals are ahead of the Twins right now. So it's all these. This is all about securing the playoff spot for the Royals, not eliminating anybody. Just securing a playoff spot for the Royals. They've got Seth Lugo on the mound tonight. The Tigers have TBD. I think they've activated Reese Olson from the injured list. I think he's going tonight, but it won't be. He'll be a bulk guy more than he'll be a starter. So maybe they go with somebody else. I haven't seen the lineup.
It is Olson.
It is Olson. I thought it was going to be him. It sounds like he'll be limited in some form or fashion. Won't be a full start for him coming off of the injured list. The Jayhawker makes the right point. I want the home field. Royals should be thinking the same thing. Yeah, catch Baltimore. Going to be hard to catch Cleveland. 4 games back with 12 to go. That's going to be tough. The Royals.
I think it'd be clutch if they had a series with them. Like, give me an end of the year series with your division rival. Come on, MLB scheduling.
Best I can give you is Atlanta.
Yeah.
And Washington.
Yeah, that's the final week of the season for the Royals. No division play. It has to be that way for at least one team in every division.
No, it doesn't. Get rid of it.
Yeah,
you're right.
Get rid of interleague.
Just get rid of it.
Well, I mean, it would, even if there were no interleague play. Like, you have 5 teams in a division. They can't all play each other the final weekend of the regular season.
Well, yeah, but you get rid of interleague and you give the Astros back to the National League.
Now,
we're cooking.
Yeah, I like that.
They never should have changed it in the first place. It's okay for not everything to look exactly the same.
I like the way you're thinking.
I'm going to go off on a tangent you guys wouldn't believe if we talk about this anymore.
Love seeing your comments in the YouTube live chat. If you are watching live on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, you can also hit us on the Top City Metal Supply text line, 785-272-9429. No more wasting money on metal pieces that leave you with unnecessary leftovers. Top City Metal Supply will cut exact lengths of aluminum, steel, and stainless steel tailored to your project's specifications. Start optimizing your budget with Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard, just north of Forbes Field. We've got some more Chiefs thoughts coming up later on this hour, and we'll preview tonight's action, not just on the diamond, but on the gridiron. There's a Monday Night Football game tonight, the Falcons and the Eagles. But we'll start today with our 580 Sports Talk headlines, and we will give you the Chiefs news of the day. Isiah Pacheco will undergo surgery to repair a fractured fibula. His right leg was injured. It didn't look good. Like, if you watched the replay yesterday, you saw the play where he got injured on that final Chiefs drive. It didn't look good. But I've seen Pacheco get rolled up like that and pop up like nothing happened before. So there was a part of me when he walked off the field like, well, they'll get him back after the 2-minute warning. Like, I really kind of believe that would be the case. But unfortunately, that is not the case. Pacheco will head to injured reserve. It sounds as though he will miss at least 6 weeks. The timeline for now is 6 to 8 weeks, but timelines can shift, as obviously was the case with Hollywood Brown, who we all kind of thought would be back by now. And now we're not going to see him until the playoffs if we see him at all. So Isiah Pacheco headed to injured reserve for the Chiefs to perhaps replace him on the roster. It has been reported by Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network, among others, that Kareem Hunt will be in for a visit with the team tomorrow. Kareem Hunt, as street free agents go, is probably the best name on the list. We were talking about this earlier. It's not a real inspiring list of street free agents at running back right now. Hunt played 15 games for Cleveland last season and averaged 3.3 yards per touch, a career low.
And 3 flat yards per rush.
Also, when he was the Chief, he kicked a woman in the face and lied about it to Clark Hunt and got cut. So none of this makes any sense unless it is strictly he knows what we run decision from Andy Reid, and that they're more comfortable with that than they are with promoting Keontae Ingram or Imani Bailey from the practice squad. Frankly, I would rather do that because there's more upside there. And then also, you don't give a second chance to a guy who kicked a woman in the face on camera and then lied to the owner about it.
Which is wild because when Andy Reid spoke to the media today, he said they're going to stay in-house. But that...
Spencer, this is a crash course in welcome to Andy Reid.
Oh, yeah. But that Veach was calling his list of players.
Yeah. Yeah, you get what you deserve if you go sign Kareem Hunt right now. Like
he's washed, man. He's cooked.
Yeah, even beyond the video and the lying and all of that, which is obviously terrible. One of those more than the other. I think he stinks. Over. He averaged 3 yards a rush behind a really good offensive line last year in Cleveland.
Yeah, one of the better offensive lines in the league. Yeah,
hard pass.
There was a time he was one of the best running backs in the league, and he hasn't been that for some time. He's 29 years old. I don't know why you would do it. I don't know why Clark Hunt would sign off on it. Desperation, I guess, is the only thing I can think of, but that is the report that he will be in for a visit. Again, if Clyde Edwards-Helaire were healthy, they just go, okay, well, it's Carson Steele and it's Clyde, and we'll rock with Clyde because he knows the offense and we trust him. Problem is, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is on the non-football injury list, and they won't have him until at least week 5. So they need something for the next 2 weeks. I think, again, you just as soon promote a guy from the practice squad. That would, to me, make a lot more sense. But
2 names for you. One, you can sign off of other teams' practice squads as long as you put them on the active roster. Currently in Miami, Deneric Prince withering away. Has anyone worn out their welcome faster than Deneric Prince?
Man, you talk about a training camp all-star.
Second name. Do you think that Brett Veach, I bet you know where I'm going with this. Do you think he still has the contact for CJ Spiller?
I did not think you were going to
You think he still has CJ Spiller's number?
How old is CJ Spiller, man?
There's
CJ
also a guy
Spiller's in the same draft class as Earl Thomas. He's 37.
Wow, that's older than I would have guessed.
There's also a guy on the Jaguars practice squad that they know that was in camp.
Louis Reese-Zammit?
Reese-Zammit? He knows what they run.
He does.
If we're talking strictly people that know what they run.
The Welsh Redemption.
If you had put Louis Reese-Zammit in as a pass protector yesterday against Trey Hendrickson, he would have been cut before he got to the sideline.
Yeah.
They would have put him on a boat back to Wales instantly.
See, that's
not even a plane. They're putting him on a boat.
That's the other reason. Like, unless they really don't think they're going to have Clyde, like, at any point, and they're just keeping him around to, like, be nice. If they thought they were going to get Clyde back for week 5 and they only needed, like, 2 weeks to muddle through, and one of them was against Atlanta, who's kind of stinky, like, I think they just promote someone from the practice squad and just see, like, did Keontae Ingram play an entire game for them last year? He was the feature back in the Charger game, wasn't he?
I think you're correct about that. He did play. I'm pretty confident in that he played.
I apparently don't know how to spell his first name, so let me.
Keontaay.
Keontaay. No, he did not.
Oh, okay.
Who
would that have been?
Who was their guy last year and the last season? LaMichael P. Ryan. That's who it was.
Who is now on Green Bay's practice squad?
Well, you could go sign him.
P. Ryan and P. Ryan in the backfield.
The law firm of P. Ryan and P. Ryan.
So here are your options. Here are the current running back free agents listed by Spotrac. Eno Benjamin.
No.
Arizona State, great. NFL, not great. Lynn Bowden. Paul Horning Award winner.
Yes. These are all like fun college guys to remember.
Marlon Mack is still out there. Jet McKinnon.
That makes, honestly,
the only
more
sense.
sense. Like, unless he's just done, why wouldn't the Chiefs call him?
That would be my only assumption, is that he's just done. Latavius Murray, I'm going to be honest with you. I know he's old. He's going to turn 35 this year. I would go sign him right now. He has always been solid. He's never not been solid. He's never been great. I would go sign him.
Who do you think had more yards per touch last season? Kareem Hunt or Latavius Murray?
If it's going to work against my narrative, I don't want to know the answer.
The answer is Latavius Murray by like a whole yard.
Oh, sick. Oh, great for the narrative. Yes. Go get Latavius Murray. Matt Breida, he's still around.
The cheetah. Chiefs have already had one of those.
Yeah, Damian Harris and Boston Scott. Boston Scott can't pass protect.
Yeah, return kicks.
He is probably the slowest running back in the NFL. He's always been slow, but he's just kind of been good at everything else, so people have kept him around. I would go sign Latavius Murray.
Yeah, I think
that would be my guy.
On that list, I'd much rather have him than Kareem Hunt. Absolutely,
not that he's
100%.
great, but the Commanders drafted Chris Rodriguez Jr. out of Kentucky last year. And he played in 13 games last year, at 51 rushes for 247 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4.8 yards a game. He did not make the team because they signed Eckler. Really? If they hadn't signed Eckler, he would have made the team. He's on the practice squad. I mean, he has 250 yards in the NFL, 2 touchdowns. Like,
have you played a snap before? Yes. You will be getting a call from Brett Veach.
Yeah, at this point. Chiefs also did make another move today. They waived Peyton Hendershot, whose greatest moment as a Chief was shoving Roquan Smith on the sideline in week 1 and getting the entire organization fined $100,000.
Yeah, on Saturday, right? Wasn't it Saturday when that came out?
That was announced on Saturday. So Peyton Hendershot was waived today, which means the Chiefs will keep that conditional 7th-round draft pick that they traded to Dallas to get him on cutdown day. Thanks for the memories.
Well, look, they saw him in action this week because he did play special teams. And they probably didn't like it. That he didn't play last week.
$100,000 fine probably also didn't help either.
Yeah, that didn't make him a lot of friends in the front office.
Although Matt Derrick said he could come back on the practice squad.
So that is your Chiefs news today. Brendan, what's your first headline?
All right, let's go to college football. We've got the latest AP and coaches polls out. I'm just going to tell you where K-State is because the coaches poll is nonsense. They're number 14 in the USLBM coaches poll from USA Today. Copyright, trademark, all rights reserved. The AP poll, the poll that actually matters prior to the college football playoff rankings. K-State comes in ranked number 13 this week. That is a 1-spot riser from 14 a week ago. They just flip-flopped with Oklahoma State. The rest of the poll. So your top 5, Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Ole Miss.
That is a new number 1 after Georgia was less than convincing in their win over Kentucky.
That is an overreaction.
Yes.
I'm going to come right out and say that is an overreaction. 6 through 10, Tennessee is up 1 spot. Missouri is down 1 spot. They flip-flopped. 8, 9, 10 is Miami, Oregon, and Penn State. Oregon had its best game of the early part of the season, absolutely housing Oregon State this weekend. In front of K-State, USC and Utah are 11 and 12. Right behind the Cats, Oklahoma State and Oklahoma are 14 and 15. Tennessee is going to beat the brakes off of Oklahoma,
You
right?
think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Games in Oklahoma. I think.
How's OU going to score?
It's a good question.
I think Tennessee, even against a good OU defense, this is old school OU here. Defense good, offense bad. I don't trust Jackson Arnold farther than I can throw him, and I think Tennessee's offense is high-powered enough that they're going to get at least enough to overcome OU's offense. We'll get to that more on Friday. Anyway, 16 through 20, LSU, Notre Dame up 1, Michigan down 1 at 18, Louisville 19, Iowa State 20. They're up a spot. Also up, Clemson to 21, Nebraska up 1 to 22, Northern Illinois up 2 spots despite not playing. They are 2-0 and ranked 23rd. Illinois comes in ranked 24th this week. Texas A&M is ranked 25th in the nation.
Voters saw what Notre Dame did to Purdue and said, dang, Northern Illinois must be awesome.
Memphis is your first team out with 77 votes. Boise State next, tied with Syracuse, 62 votes each.
Spencer, what's your first headline today?
Might help if my mic's back on.
Typically, yes.
Bryce Young has been benched in Carolina. The experience is over after being non-committal yesterday. Why am I blanking?
Dave Canales.
Dave Canales.
He was very committal. He said repeatedly Bryce Young is their quarterback.
I meant not committing to benching him.
Okay,
Somebody asked, are you going to bench him? And he goes, no, he's our quarterback. He gets benched in Carolina. Andy Dalton will start. He has now had a shorter amount of time to play than Daniel Jones, who's had like 64 career games.
So this is a David Tepper decision, right? Like, I'd bet all the money in my wallet against all the money in yours. Dave Canales did not get a say here. This was from the ownership suite, a phone call. You will play Andy Dalton.
Canales said that this was his decision. He talked with former Chiefs front office member Brant Tillis and the other guys in the front office there, that they came to this agreement. They are going to go with Bryce, or that they're going to go with Andy Dalton over Bryce Young. Bryce has been bad. I mean, there's no getting around. He's been really bad.
Like I do believe that it's not going to work out for Bryce.
No.
Like there are no like glimmers with Bryce Young.
There is one thing that would help him this year. There is one slim outcome that would help him this year. There is one offense that right now Bryce Young would work in. Miami. It is point and shoot.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to have a triggering experience if he were to end up there, because their offensive line is also bad. But get the ball out. Catch, snap, throw ball. That's it. That's all you do. Roll out and get rid of ball quickly. Everything is out in less than 2 seconds.
It looks bad, and Carolina looks like one of the worst NFL teams maybe in history through 2 weeks, but I still can't believe you'd give up on a kid 1 year and 2 starts into his NFL career when you took him number 1 overall, unless the owner told you got to do it.
Are you telling me that the guy who has a miniature statue, a statuette of brass testicles on his desk in order to intimidate people who come to his office is maybe not the most stable guy to own a football team?
That is exactly what I am saying.
Yeah. Bad guy, worse owner. That's hard to do. That is really hard to do. But I think that's the case for David Tepper. That sucks. I feel for Bryce. Even if he's not good, I do feel for him. And allegedly, according to reports, he had no idea this was coming.
Yeah.
Also, besides Jalen Hurts, like, what Alabama quarterbacks have been successful in the NFL?
Tua.
Joe Namath.
Tua.
I meant Tua's been somewhat successful, but I mean, who knows if he's going to play another down?
Well, he's not being
you didn't
placed.
ask if he's going to play again. You just asked if he's been successful.
Yeah. He led the league in passing yards. I mean, he is a starter level quarterback in the NFL. But yes, like, you look at the rest of the like Saban era quarterbacks at Alabama, like AJ McCarron, career backup, Mac Jones, career backup. I don't even know who else we got. The Greg McElroy, career backup.
Great color commentary.
Yes, very good on television. Speaking of Tua Tagovailoa, a couple of quick NFL notes before we hit a break here. Tua Tagovailoa will not be placed on injured reserve by the Dolphins, but they are signing a former Pro Bowl quarterback, Tyler Huntley, off of the Baltimore Ravens practice squad, which means he'll have to be elevated again to the active roster. Dolphins look like they'll go forward, at least for this week, with the former Kansas State Wildcat, Skylar Thompson, as their starting quarterback. Also, the bad injury news keeps piling up for the Los Angeles Rams. It sounds like Cooper Kupp is going to miss an extended period of time with a left ankle sprain. He will be placed on injured reserve. That will do it for our 580 Sports Talk headlines. When we come back, some final thoughts from a Chiefs victory over the Bengals and the rest of the football weekend that was. Coming up from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio here on 580 Sports Talk. .531 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer. Another injury note from the NFL breaking as we went to break. Deebo Samuel's hurt. Shock of shocks.
Oh, no. He's on my fantasy team.
He'll miss a couple of weeks, according to Nick Wagner, who is an NFL reporter for the 49ers for ESPN. Suffered a calf strain in their loss to the Vikings. That was an inexplicable loss. They turned the ball over on downs twice in plus territory, gave up a 97-yard touchdown to Justin Jefferson. Inexplicable loss for the 49ers.
I just can't believe that a team that was banking on Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel staying healthy is now having to deal with the both of them being injured. I can't believe it. And it's shocking. It's shocking to me that those two guys would get hurt.
Not great news early in the season for the 49ers. And again, when you look around at a lot of teams who came into this season with Super Bowl aspirations, the Ravens are 0-2, the Bengals are 0-2, the 49ers are 1-1, but they're dealing with some significant injury concerns. Being 2-0 is a good place to be. And that's where the Kansas City Chiefs are after their win yesterday, 26-25. But Our opening segment today, a little more negative than most Victory Monday opening segments, because two things happened in Sunday's game that are a long-term concern, and one of them is the Isiah Pacheco injury, which we broke down at length earlier in the show. Again, he's going to miss 6+ weeks. We'll see what the Chiefs do at running back, but I would guess it's going to be Carson Steele, a whole lot of Carson Steele in the running game on Sunday with Samaje Perine as the third down back. Maybe a little bit more of him. Certainly in passing situations, I think he's going to be preferred to Steele. But that'll, I think, surely be the mix, at least for the first week in which Pacheco is absent. We'll see if the Chiefs add somebody or just promote from within. But the other big concern was the benching of Kingsley Suamataia. How can I not pronounce his name right?
So are you going with Mitch's pronunciation? Because on TV, they went with the BYU pronunciation.
Yeah. But Mitch has his own pronunciation that we've learned.
Suamataia.
The TV broadcast went with Kingsley Suamataia. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
Suamataia.
we had been doing for months.
So we're all on the same page here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Suamataia.
All right.
Yes. He was terrible yesterday.
Yeah, he stunk.
And look, Trey Hendrickson is balling out of control these first 2 weeks. Tough matchup for a rookie. And anytime you commit to play a rookie at any position in this league, you are signing up for some ups and downs. You are signing up for some good moments. You are signing up for some struggles. Mitchell Schwartz, I think it was one of the Schwartzes, Mitchell or Jeff on Twitter, who said that the issue right now is not like his physical traits. It's just a technique thing. Like he's getting beat on technique. Trey Hendrickson probably watched the film and said, oh, I know how to beat this youngster, and then just did it over and over and over again.
Yeah, there was a sack. I think it was a third down in the second quarter where it looked, I'm not sure if he didn't kick out far enough, if he didn't get enough extension or what, but it sort of looked like Kingsley was just sort of slapping and Hendrickson ran right by him.
Mm-hmm.
And I even tweeted at the time, film review is not going to be kind on the review of that particular play. And then it only got worse.
Yeah, it did. It was such a rough game that he was benched for Motown Philly, as Christopher in the YouTube comments was calling him earlier, Wanye Morris, who caught his first career touchdown pass. Hand up if you had Wanye Morris with more touchdowns than Travis Kelce through 2 weeks. No one?
No,
Crickets.
not me.
Crickets.
Yeah. So it was a bad game for Suamataia, and he was benched. And today, Andy Reid in his press conference would not commit to saying who was going to start at left tackle. Now, I imagine they'll go back to the kid. Like, again, you sign up for ups and downs when you decide to start a rookie, especially in an important position like left tackle. And I don't think they're going to give Donovan Smith a call. Like, I don't think that's happening. But
I hope it doesn't happen.
But, like, Trey Hendrickson, and we talked about this on our reaction video last night, our Chiefs Instant Reaction, which you can find if you're a subscriber to the YouTube 580 Sports Talk. You can check those out. We do them after every Chiefs game, win or lose. There are a lot of really good pass rushers in the AFC West and on this schedule that the Chiefs are going to have to deal with. They got to play the 49ers and Nick Bosa. They got to play the Chargers and Joey Bosa if he's healthy. And Khalil Mack's still on that team. And Max Crosby for the Raiders. Got to play him twice. Jonathan Cooper has been one of the best pass rushers in the league through 2 weeks for Denver. You're going to see him. Trey Hendrickson is not like a one-off. Like, they're going to be outstanding edge rushers week after week. And Suamataia has got to get better fast because he doesn't have to be an elite left tackle, but he has to at least meet the standard that Donovan Smith met last year, that Orlando Brown Jr. and Eric Fisher were able to meet pretty handily. And it didn't look like he could do it yesterday. And so, yeah, right now, that's a concern. I wouldn't call it DEFCON 1, but like DEFCON 2, 3? Yeah. Probably pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I don't really have anything more to add. Like, it's not a good place to be. That it just simply comes down to that. It is a very bad place to be.
Well,
not know, to have a true weak link, having a guy be the weakest of the five. Yeah, that's how it works. Someone's always going to be the worst. But if it's Andrew Wiley and he's still fine, your offensive line is probably great.
Update, not fine.
Well, now he's not fine. With Andy Heck, he was doing great though. When it's Kingsley Suamataia getting his brains beaten in snap after snap, drop back after drop back, that's not fine.
Because what you have to do then is you have to help him. And if you help him, you're taking a wide receiver out of the route. And the Chiefs don't like to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like to help their guys. They trust that their tackles are going to do enough. Even though they haven't had elite tackle play, particularly left tackle play, they've had solid left tackle play in this era. They trust that left tackle to win his matchup more often than he loses it. And again, is Kingsley Suamataia going to be capable of that? That's going to be a story, because if he keeps getting whipped like that and he gets Mahomes beat up, he gets Mahomes hurt, and then this season takes a turn that none of us want to contemplate. So,
and he will be on the street.
That is the story to watch.
One thing that I would say is last week he had a couple miscues, and we were kind of just saying it was his first game, but the Ravens pass rush is not great.
No, it is not. That is not a good unit. Man, the Ravens have problems, like deeply rooted problems that I don't know where the answers come from.
I think you look defensively at brain drain, right? Like they lost Mike McDonald, their defensive coordinator. He's in Seattle now. They lost some other, members of that coaching staff. They have a first-time defensive coordinator right now. And even though they were great against the run, the Raiders can't run the ball a lick. They have 26 points to a Gardner Minshew quarterback team. They had no answer for Brock Bowers.
They had no answer for Brock Bowers, but I will also add Raiders game plan on their game-winning drive, the drive that I think tied the game. Must have been to tie the game. Perfect drive. Gardner Minshew was looking at and only at Devontae Adams on, I think, 5 of his 6 dropbacks. Just kept forcing it to 17. And it worked. And he caught a touchdown pass and got a key pass interference call. And then Bowers was open once for a huge gain. They got issues. That's probably the team through 2 weeks that I'd call them the biggest disappointment so far.
Yes. I think that's a pretty easy one. Who's the biggest surprise for you through 2 weeks?
It's got to be Minnesota, right? Well, okay, New Orleans.
Yeah, I was going to say those two.
New Orleans dropped in. I mean, they're scoring on every drive. It looks like the greatest show on turf.
Clint Kubiak, 9 years ago, was the wide receivers coach for an 0-12 Kansas Jayhawks team that had a historically bad wide receivers room. My buddy and I were looking at the list yesterday. Oh my God, so bad. And now in 9 years, he's the hotness in the NFL. He is going to get whatever head coaching job he wants next year if they continue to play at even 60% of this level.
Or Cowboys.
The lesson for him, the lesson with Clint Kubiak is nepotism is bad unless you come from the Shanahan tree. Then nepotism is very, very good.
Yeah, that tree is crazy. It really is unbelievable. But I'll give a nod to Minnesota, too. There are a lot of NFL people who thought Darnold might thrive with Kevin O'Connell. And Kevin O'Connell's great. He really is. Their defense is playing really well. Brock Purdy gave a ton of props to Brian Flores after that game yesterday. I still think Flores' ceiling as a coordinator is limited because they are going to blitz. That is what they are going to do. And if you play a quarterback who is good against it, a Mahomes, a Stroud, a Love, guys who have proven it, you're going to get burned. But if you're up against a team that does not deal with it all that well, you're going to crush them. And that's what the Vikings defense did to the 49ers yesterday. Again, Darnold's been playing really well. I'm impressed. I did not think they would be 2-0. I really did not.
Real quick, I'd like a thought from you both on the college football weekend. What stood out to you? What was the biggest thing that stood out to you? Doesn't necessarily have to be KU or K-State or even Big 12 related. What was the big thing that stood out to you from a weekend that, it's always when you least expect it. When you look at the schedule and say, this is kind of going to be a boring college football weekend, then it ends up not being boring.
The dumpster juice pick of the week.
Oof.
Woof.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Sam Houston.
My Bows.
Bludgeoning the Rainbow Warriors.
My beloved Bows.
Yeah, that one was ugly.
Back to the drawing board for me and Paul Meyerberg.
Baylor just massacring Air Force.
Air Force stinks. Air Force's offense is wretched.
Yeah, it's bad. Although, despite those games being lopsided and ugly, there were a number of those this weekend. Toledo beating Mississippi State by 24 points, which, by the way, the official ESPN College Football Highlights YouTube account won't upload highlights of that game. SEC team blown out by a MAC team? No, they didn't. No, that didn't happen. Colorado versus Colorado State
was football game.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt, the worst game in terms of entertainment value all weekend.
Utterly gross.
Filthy. Disgusting.
Like, as long as Colorado is precisely one Travis Hunter better than their opponent, they can win some games. I just don't know how often that's going to be the case in Big 12 play. They got Baylor this Saturday. It's such a fascinating conference opener for both teams.
Can I also give you a sentence that is brand new sentence?
Sure.
Argue among the very best and most fun rushing attacks in America belongs to Cal. They destroyed San Diego State late night. That was Pac-12 Mountain West after dark on Saturday night, which I was very invested in. I was gone for a lot of the day with Washburn, so I didn't see a lot of the midday games until I rewatched them later or watched the highlights. I watched the entirety of that Cal game. Their running attack is awesome, and they didn't even have their best player.
Yeah. Jay Knott didn't even play.
No, he didn't play.
A takeaway for me was while I was at said restaurant that we talked about earlier in Good, Bad, and Ugly, they only had one game on all the TVs there. And it was the Texas UTSA game.
Okay.
Do we have a quarterback controversy with Texas? Like, Arch Manning was fun to watch. It was fun to watch that game.
Yeah, you can tell he's not Peyton or Eli's kid because he can run.
Yeah.
Even Cooper said afterward he got it from his mom.
So I don't know that it's a quarterback controversy as much as it's whoever played quarterback for Texas would look good because they're awesome.
They are really good. I do agree with your point. I think Arch is going to be good.
Yeah.
He might not be Peyton, but I think he's going to be pretty good.
I just think like we had heard, not so good things last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not ready to play, blah, blah, blah. And then
a year with Sark is good for you.
And then look what he does in, no time of like, he's going to get in. It's just like, I'm the backup. I would probably have played in the fourth quarter of this game, but like not when I was coming into the game did I expect that to happen.
Yeah, I will say this too, and it really hurts me that the meat boys have gotten to this point. UTSA might be trash.
Yeah.
They might be really bad. I like Jeff Traylor a lot, their head coach, but they might be awful.
My big takeaway is that the state of the Big 12 race feels about like how we thought it would feel going into the start of conference play. It looks like these first two games for Utah are going to be pretty defining. It looks like Kansas State's going to be right there. And I would say Utah and Kansas State feel like they're on a collision course. I hope we get to see them play in Arlington in December. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. Monday Night Football and the Royals tonight. We'll talk about them next here on 580 Sports Talk from the Kansas Drive to Zero studio. Monday Night Football tonight. Falcons, Eagles. Eagles are 5.5-point favorites. This is the first of back-to-back primetime games for the Falcons, who host the Chiefs for Sunday Night Football next week. So we're getting real familiar with the Dirty Birds, which is not good because first game was not very pleasant, and it doesn't look like Kirk Cousins could move.
No.
Kirk Cousins looks like he needs to be in the pocket with a life alert bracelet and necklace on.
Man, 5.5. Prairie Band Sportsbook also has the total at 45.5. I kind of like the under. There's a little more juice on the over. I kind of like the under, though.
Primetime under?
I mean, wasn't the under last night, too, for Sunday Night Football?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
32. Yeah, that under definitely hit.
Iowa ass total. Yeah, give me the Eagles. Give me the under. I'm thinking like 24-10.
I'm going 21-14.
All right. Yeah.
Touchdown late wins it.
Yeah.
Eagles.
Yeah, I'm taking. I got the Eagles to cover tonight.
How can you trust Cousins?
You
he couldn't move last week.
Yeah, and like the video in practice didn't look all that much more encouraging.
I mean,
either.
look, I think we've talked about it all off season long. Like he is about to be. Is he 40 yet?
No, he's 36. Yeah.
Or 36.
Rogers is the one who's 40.
Yeah, you're right.
2 years.
36.
2 years younger than me, big dog.
He's done. He's done. So I think he had his Achilles injury too late into the year. Like maybe by week 8, he's a little bit more mobile.
36 years old, halfway in the grave.
Yeah.
Funeral being planned.
I mean,
Last
I
rites
am planning
being
his
administered.
funeral because he wouldn't re-sign with the Washingtons.
Tonight, we also got Royals baseball. That's coming up. As soon as we're done here, we're going to hand it off to the Royals Baseball Network. Seth Lugo for the Royals tonight. 3 straight outstanding starts for the veteran right-hander as they face the Detroit Tigers. Got to give credit to the Tigers for hanging in the race this long. They looked pretty done and dusted, but they beat up on some lousy teams, and here they are still kind of hanging around. They've got the second-best team ERA in the American League. They've got the guy who's going to win the Cy Young and Tarek Skubal. Their bullpen's been pretty solid. I'll make the same point that I think I've made every time the Royals play the Tigers this year. It's not an imposing lineup outside of Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green. Really, you keep those guys in check. They're not going to score a lot of runs. And you got to get to a lead, and you don't want to turn this game to a battle of bullpens because you don't win battles of bullpens with the Tigers. So pivotal series, magic number could drop with a Royals win and a Tigers loss to 5 for a playoff berth for the Royals tonight.
It is kind of incredible how the Tigers are still in it. Now, their schedule has been unbelievably light here at the end of the year. But the fact that with a lineup that is that flimsy, frankly, all things considered,
They
be in this spot is impressive.
They have a sub 300 on base percentage as a team.
That stinks.
Yeah, really, really bad. Like only the White Sox are worse. They're 11th in the American League in home runs. They're 8th in runs. It is a subpar offense. There's no question about it. But some of that was they missed Riley Green for a chunk of the year, and they missed Kerry Carpenter for about half the season. Those two guys are good. Like Green was an all-star. Carpenter looks like he's going to be a 30 home run guy. There's a more of a threat now than I think the last time the Tigers saw the Royals, but still should be a team that the Royals take care of some business against, win 2 out of 3, and you'd like to think that could start tonight with Seth Lugo on the bump. First pitch, 6:40 from the K tonight. One final break. We'll come back and wrap things up with a final word on 580 Sports Talk. Walking off, wrapping up with a final word here on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis, you go first.
I said it earlier in the show. The Ravens are toast. You can't start the season 0-2 like that already when Lamar is your savior, your Superman. We talked about this last week on the show. The Ravens offense is just, the Ravens are just set up to be where Lamar has to be the savior. On the other hand, the Chiefs, it's going to be a tough sledding here without your number one running back and one of your top receivers for the foreseeable future this year. I have one name to get re-involved and be the leader that he can in the passing game. Travis Kelce. Get the man involved. He's one of the greatest of all time. And if you can continue to get him involved, you're going to do well down the stretch without your best running back and one of your top receivers.
Brandon Dorzinski, final word.
I'm legitimately worried about KU at this point. Not that I think that the team is irredeemable. Not that I think the season is irredeemable by any means, but 1 week you can wave it off that Jalen Daniels and Jeff Grimes had a bad week at their respective jobs. 2 in a row in games that you really should have, and against UNLV, you really felt like you had to win. That is a whole lot less excusable. This team still has a lot of goals in front of it it can reach. It can still be a bowl team. Hell, it can still win the Big 12 even. But you've got to figure things out, and you've got to figure them out now. I don't think West Virginia is all that good, but they're better than the teams you have faced so far, and you've got to go on the road to do it in Morgantown coming up on Saturday. KU's offense, amazingly, is being picked up by the defense. Now they need to pull their fair share in the passing game. Devin Neal, you're exempt from this conversation.
Final word for me today. How demoralizing must it be to the rest of the NFL to look at the Kansas City Chiefs and see a team down their starting running back and down one of their top wide receivers, and a team that has struggled in pass defense at times with the loss of L'Jarius Sneed over the offseason, and with Patrick Mahomes having submitted a substandard game against an opponent that always seems to have his number, in turnovers and penalties having been an issue through 2 weeks, and all of these things that we can rightfully pick at when it comes to the Chiefs. And they're 2-0 anyway. Look, great teams find ways. They find ways to win when they don't play their best. They find ways to win while they're working to become their best. And the Chiefs are a great team. Obviously, they have the rings to prove it. We'll talk plenty more football, baseball, and so much more tomorrow from 3 to 6. For Brendan Spencer, I'm Dan. See ya.